A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Command the children of Israel that they bring unto thee pure oil olive, beaten for the light, to cause the lamps to burn continually in the tabernacle of the congregation. And it shall be a statute forever in your generations.
The Eternal Light. The National Broadcasting Company and its affiliated independent stations present The Eternal Light, a program which comes to you under the auspices of the Jewish Theological Seminary of America. Today's program, Triumph in Samaria, was written by Peter Barry and is presented in observance of Human Rights Day.
For upward of 3 hours now, the king's voice had resounded through the palace halls. His shouts rang through the halls like the roarings of a much-vexed bull. But I could distinguish nothing until he summoned me by name.
Abdias! Where is my governor of the palace? Abdias!
At your command, Majesty.
Count me forth from the treasury 5 talents of Damascus silver.
5, my lord.
5. And make no ado about it.
As I crossed to the brass coffer and dealt out the money, the king smiled bitterly up into the pleasant, puzzled face of the little Jezreelite before him.
5. So, be ye content at last?
Majesty.
With 5 silver talents, a man might buy such land as yours and build a mansion on it, no? Well, is that not fact?
You mistake me, Majesty.
Wherein?
With me, it was never a question of the price.
Come, you need not blush for your greed. The vineyard's worth whatever it cost me.
Wherefore, my lord?
I buy it for the Queen's pleasure.
The Queen's?
Aye. The Queen finds pleasure in your vineyard. Her Majesty complains much of our cookery. Shepherd's fare, she calls it. In her native land of Sidon, they spice much with saffron and chives and nutmegs. I wish your vineyard to the end that she may smile.
Can one not smile without such things as chives and nutmegs?
A queen need not... Forgive me if my tone is sharp. You've tried me sorely, brother. Now, these herbs, as it happens, hold importance for the wife of my bosom.
Wherefore?
They make an exotic taste in the mouth.
And you would sacrifice a vineyard of living trees for an exotic taste in the mouth.
Let that not concern you now that it's sold.
Your pardon, my lord, but it is not sold.
What?
And it shall not be sold.
Now, look you here.
It was willed me by my father, sire. The day he died, my father blessed me. Ye have a sweet and goodly heritage, he said. Tend it carefully and with pride.
Sell it to me.
The last act of his life was to press his lips to my forehead and whisper, Look to thy vineyard, neighbor.
Not ever in my many years at court had I seen King Ahab in so black a mood. When Naboth had departed, he paced the floor until the last glow of the sunken sun was drained from the western horizon. At the evening meal, he said nothing and ate nothing, staring red-eyed into space and drawing his breath with difficulty through the pressure of his inner rage. The silence was broken by Jezebel, queen of Israel.
Oh, out of spite would he refuse me.
Spite?
My lady speaks the bitter truth. He gloated with the pleasure of saying nay.
I saw not that he said...
You look not deep.
But
I seek no comforting denial. 1,000 courtiers with as many gifts as tongues could not persuade me that I am not despised in Israel. He saw to that.
He?
The Tishbite.
It is a fact. A fact.
A miasma he made of my name, a ruffian's oath. Profanity to be whispered behind the hand and kept from the ears of children. Left is not one among the thousands whom he schooled throughout the land.
Comfort ye, my lord. He will never come again.
Never come again? How say you?
The time has come for telling of truth. Elijah the Tishbite is dead.
Dead? Say you dead? My life upon it.
You know not what you tell me. No other creature who walks the earth do I fear. No other eyes have ever turned my heart to ash, save his.
Rejoice, then. Know you not that several moons ago he journeyed north out of Israel?
I praised Baal, then I sacrificed upon your altar.
But know you why he journeyed?
Nay, do you?
It has been told me. He purposed to crown young Hazael king of Syria.
Hazael?
Aye.
King? But Hazael stands not even in succession.
Even so?
Then why set he forth on such mad business?
His God, he said, thus ordered him, my lord.
Well, still, this means not he's dead.
He's dead, well enough. There are factions of power in Syria whose lives would end with Hazael's coronation. To them I dispatched messages informing them of Elijah's coming and of the power of his magic. If the impossible shall be done, this man shall do it. Thus I wrote and urged them for their sake and ours to kill him in his blood.
Think you 'tis done?
How should it not be done? Shall these endangered Syrians suffer an Israelitish prophet to huckster with their throne?
Elijah is no more. I, Zedekiah, who was taught wisdom by the birds of the air. I tell thee so, Majesty. Believe it, Majesty.
You may believe it, love.
I shall try to believe it.
Will you not eat now, my lord?
That I shall try also.
Oh, bravo, sire. Here, tempt thy palate with the stew of hare and tamarind. Oh, take but one sup.
My stomach shudders at the contemplation.
Lack you appetite still?
All food is of a smell to me, and that one smell foul.
But after such news...
I myself cannot think why.
Nay, then I shall tell thee why. 'Tis not thy stomach, but thy will that hungers.
Huh? My wits are tripped in the snare of thy riddle's wording.
I make no riddle, love. I do but tell thee that Naboth's vineyard presses yet upon thy spirit.
Very like. I wanted it for thee, Jezebel.
Oh, my sweet.
Deep was my rage against the man. I wished him dead at my feet as he prattled with his accursed tongue of his father's heritage. My heart insisted that I have the vineyard for thee.
Mine still insists that you shall have it for me.
How say you now?
Get thee to thy couch, my lord, and sleep away thy anger's malice.
I shall sleep little until this Naboth stirs in his decision.
He will not stir, I fear.
If he stir or no is of small matter.
Small matter? Of small matter, say you?
We shall have the vineyard, Ahab.
Have it? But how? Whereby?
Think you not on how or whereby? We shall have it, love. And that by all our gods, I promise thee.
But Ahab the king was not cheered. Indeed, his frown was deeper graven. Aye, with mention of Elijah the Tishbite, a pallor descended on his visage, and there remained even when he rose from our midst and took his way with uncertain steps up the silent staircase. In the solitude of the vaulted room, he stood for a time, and then walked as though in a trance to his bedside. Wearily, his hand reached out and put out the lamp. Silent, he lay alone, staring unseeing into the darkness, until, of a sudden, the king sat sharp upright, his stare white and wide with the terror of his heart. There, across the broad, dark chamber, sat the stalwart figure of a man, dressed in the pelt of a wolf. Nigh paralyzed with fear, the king managed to press his fists together in supplication when the prophetic figure raised a gnarled, accusing finger.
Elijah!
Then quickening, as an animal at bay quickens to imminent doom, Ahab's hand shot out, grasping the tinderbox and contriving with haste and fumbling to make a light. And as the familiar chamber loomed forth out of the distortion of dark, Ahab began to laugh and sob in the rapture of his relief.
It was not he.
With the rising of the moon, Ahab found his way into uneasy slumber. Even as he did so, Queen Jezebel spoke in hushed conference behind the closed doors of a curtained room in the priestly quarters.
Were there only thou and I involved, I'd say aye, but other helpers mean other tongues. And with so many, one may slip.
I tell thee, I may trust these men I use. Spoke I but a part of what I might. Their robes of office would be torn from them, and dungeons would suffice them for abodes.
Albeit, this thing could come to light, Majesty.
Think you so?
I warn thee that I think so.
Well, right as I tell thee, and let all Israel learn, there is danger in denying a monarch's will.
At your command, good daughter.
Most honored Excellence.
To whom be it addressed?
To the chief elder of the city's councillors. Most honored Excellence. I write thee privately concerning one Naboth the Jezreelite. I write thee because reports of this man's rebellious and blasphemous activities have reached our ears and caused us much concern. I write thee to urge that ye aid us in ensnaring him by bidding him to thy counsel, honoring him, flattering him, and in whatever way ye deem best, loosening his tongue. If Naboth uttereth sedition, thou knowest the penalty. If he utter it not, seize upon that which he doth utter, twist it to our purpose, and obtain the reward of thy sovereign's gratitude.
The letter was delivered upon the morrow, and the following day Naboth was summoned to the meeting of the elders of the council. They informed him that he was selected to sit amongst them. Therewith prevailed upon him to make a speech of acceptance. Unprepared and fearful lest they think him a bumpkin, he spoke that day a good deal more than was good for him. Upon the next day, in the council's noon recess, two most friendly members urged him to tarry and refresh himself at the wine shop. And upon that day he spoke much more.
Oh, but one cup, neighbor, one cup.
Nay, neighbor, it is a fast.
Then sit you down at least.
Yes. Truly, my wife awaits me.
I'll wager it would not be the first time.
Aye, it would. I have never kept her waiting.
Well, then she cannot be wroth with thee this once.
Spoil not the merriment, neighbor. Indeed, I'd not spoil thy merriment.
Well, then sit ye down and let us pour our hearts out.
Oh, what sweet and goodly souls ye be.
Oui.
To shower such warmth upon a stranger.
You are not quite a stranger to us, friend.
No, I had not seen you before yesterday, nor ye me.
Thy fame preceded thee.
Fame? My fame?
It is the rumor that ye refused to sell a vineyard to the monster.
Monster?
The enthroned swine.
Speak you so of the king?
Not if it offend or frighten thee. Frighten him? Naboth would be hard to frighten. Why, he is a creature of fathomless valor.
Nay, I am not so valorous.
Come, who but a fearless man would dare to cross the vengeful Ahab?
I thought neither of fear nor courage.
What thought you then?
That I would not sell my vineyard, nothing more.
But feared you not to deny the Lord's anointed?
I thought not of that either.
Doubt you that he's the Lord's anointed?
I cannot answer you.
What mean you?
Dost think the Lord himself might err? Ahab is an idolater. I say only what the world doth know.
Say on.
Could it be that the Lord's anointed could forget the Lord?
'Tis a good question, no?
A memorable question. But you have not the answer.
No.
You will not think me disloyal.
We will think nothing.
Well, we have poured out our hearts enough, I suppose.
Quite enough.
What is the time?
Late.
I have failed my wife, alas. How shall I bespeak her when we meet this evening?
You will not meet this evening.
How so?
You are under arrest, Naboth of Jezreel.
in the name of the Council of Samaria.
I tell you, I meant no ill.
We ask not what you meant, but what you said.
It was but a conversation in a wine shop. I spoke to them as friends.
I advise you to waste no more of the time of this august council. Did you or did you not say that the Lord had erred in the anointing of our sovereign?
I asked if it could be.
Is that not the same thing?
One and the same thing. What more can I say?
You need say no more. Naboth of Jezreel, you are herewith found guilty of treason and blasphemy toward God the King.
If I have spoken loosely, I accept your censure.
This crime is as the crime of treason, the penalty for which is death by the stone.
Hey, you have judged falsely, brother. There's some mistake here. I asked but a question.
Conduct him hence to the city gate.
A question! A question! A question!
That was the day the sky darkened and the wind came. At an hour past noon it began, sweeping in from the sea and bearing down upon us, southward past Sidon. On and on it roared, a mounting tempest, growing ever vaster, until the broad land shook before the onslaught of its anger. Within an hour its howl was so shrill around the palace battlements that Ahab the king could scarcely hear her majesty when she burst in upon him with the tidings.
Thou hast it, Lord.
How say you?
Thou hast it.
What?
The vineyard.
Teach me not upon so sore a subject.
Am I given off to jest? 'Tis thine, I vow it is.
It cannot be so long as Naboth lives. Lives? What has befallen here?
Are not the goods of those slain for treason forfeit to the crown?
Who is so slain?
Canst thou not surmise?
My surmise chills the marrow of my heart. Speak ye fair.
Naboth, the Jezreelite, is no more.
Huh? How? How does this come to be?
Say that I know not.
How does this come to be?
Rejoice in thy good fortune, Lord, and trouble not to find the means of its accomplishment.
I know this look of thine, the lowered eyes, the plump rich pouting on a lip demanding praise for wantonness. Thou hast contrived it. Look at me, woman!
Wilt thou scold, my lord, for that I kept my promise to thy royal self?
The worst, the truth, then. His blood is on our hands.
Wanted you not the vineyard, Lord?
Feared you not to do it?
I am a queen, my lord, and fear is not my portion. I know only glory that thou hast the vineyard of thy heart's desiring. Thou hast not lost thy taste for it.
Nay.
You want it still.
I want it still. Oh, sweet bliss of heaven, thou art beautiful. Thy mouth is as a feast of the honeyed hearts of ripe red melons. The stare of thy gaze a lavish rising of twin moons above the silver-dappled birdsong of legend wilderness. I want it as I want thee. As I want all comely, alien delights, forbidden, fair, and beckoning.
Oh, thou hast thy will, then, as a king must have. Thy triumph is very great, my lord.
Aye. My triumph is as a pride of lions. I thank thee, Jezebel.
Majesty.
Aye, Zedekiah?
Majesty.
Again, man? Has the wind blown thy wits out?
The wind has blown a courier our way.
A courier?
From the north.
So then?
The words stick in my throat.
Spew them forth. I am ready fit for what may come.
Hazael has been crowned king of Syria.
Hazael?
Even so.
Hazael! Who has crowned him, then?
Who has crowned him? I dare not think, my lord.
The Tishbite's dead.
I was fit for anything but this.
He's dead, I say. He's dead. Melkart, Bel, I conjure ye, O gods, let him be dead. Guardsmen, soldiers, to thy queen. To thy queen.
Why summon ye the soldiery?
They shall hunt the woods from the mountains and the waters. To thy queen. If he live, he shall not live long. Cheer thyself with that, majesty.
I shall cheer myself with nothing. Full many a time hast thou sought to slay him, and still he walks. Hazael is king, and the end of things is in the eyes of Ahab.
Desperate, Ahab turned to the wine for sustenance of spirit. By nightfall, he was merry, jesting and singing and seeming almost to challenge the storm with his laughter. As the hours passed, his gaiety soared, until with an oath he rose, snatched up a torch, and strode toward the darkness that lay beyond the palace portal.
Where go you, my lord?
To take possession, Royal Queen. Aye, to lay claim unto this vineyard that is ours at last. Ha, ha, ha!
She urged her company on him, but he bade her keep her place and passed out into the night. Over the palace grounds he found his way, crossed the boundary, and stumbling before the wind, drew his sword in the midst of the coveted acres.
I right of forfeiture to acclaim this land for the crown of Israel! Hast thou killed and also taken possession? Elijah!
This time, the form of Elijah stood beside a gnarled tree on the darkened crest of a little hill. But the thunderous brow and the glittering eye were unchanged. Swiftly Ahab raised the torch above his head and heard his own heart pounding above the roar of the wind.
Elijah!
In the flare of the torch, the form on the hill's crest faded not, nor waned, nor became something other than itself. Instead, it remained what it was, the stalwart form of a lean-thewed man, dire in majesty, and dressed in the pelt of a wolf.
Elijah! I, Ahab, son of Omri, didst think I had fallen by the treachery of thy house, even as Naboth fell? Knowest thou of Naboth? Even as the Lord knoweth, and he knows. And so saith the Lord, in the place where dogs licked the blood of Naboth, shall dogs lick thy blood, even thine. Hast thou found me, O mine enemy? I have found thee, because thou hast given thyself over to do that which is evil in the sight of the Lord. Behold, I will bring evil upon thee, and will utterly sweep thee away, and will cut off from Ahab every man-child, and him that is shut up, and him that is left at large in Israel. Nay! Aye. And of Jezebel also spoke the Lord, saying, the dogs shall eat Jezebel in the moats of Jezreel. In the name of all mercy! Where was her mercy?
I beseech you, hear me. As a beggar grovels before the Prince of Hosts, I beg ye hearken. I'll not gainsay that there's been some evil done. Dark evil. But measure and discretion must yet abide. Consider, I plead with thee. Despite thy rage, consider what's at stake herein.
And what be that?
The loftiness of the very crown itself.
Say you so.
Say I. Who is this Naboth? Tell me, who is he? That a queen in Israel should be devoured by dogs to gain him vengeance.
Who is Naboth? Naboth, man, is Israel. His privilege to deny thee his vineyard is Israel's throne, and his right to his life is the sun that shines upon the land. Thy wife is of the tyrant's breed, of the kings of the spawn of Esau, who prove their might in blood and their power by striding spike-shod upon the necks of subjects. But this was not for thee, Ahab. Cruelty in a king of the people of the covenant proves not, save that he belongs not upon the throne. Thou wouldst be as this wind is, blotting out all voices save thine own. Yet the Spirit of God lies not in the tempest, but in a little wind, the gentle wind of reason.
I repent me. I repent and pity thee.
You pity neighbor? Nay, grieve you not, sire, but save thy pity for some smaller sorrow. He was stoned, aye, and not remains of him, but tatters and his shattered bones. Yet I say unto you, he triumphed, as you never shall, Ahab. Here was a man, faithful to his vineyard unto death.
If you would like a copy of today's script, please send your name and address with 10 cents to cover the cost of postage to the Jewish Theological Seminary of America, 3080 Broadway, New York 27, New York. Now we take great pleasure in presenting the Honorable Samuel DeFalco, Justice of the Supreme Court of the State of New York. Judge DeFalco.
Today, we honor the Universal Declaration of Human Rights by the General Assembly of the United Nations on the 10th day of December, 1948. On this day, dedicated to the ideal of universal human rights, it is fitting to recall that the story of Naboth's vineyard was the earliest account in recorded history in which the inherent rights of an individual were defended against the powers of the sovereign ruler. We today, thanks to the vision of our forefathers, are fortunate to live in a country where a Bill of Rights protects all citizens from arbitrary action by the state. Our belief that the individual created by God is more important than the state has been the distinguishing mark of our democracy. However, in this age of jet power and atomic energy, when we are just a few short hours from any place on the globe, we cannot divorce ourselves from the fates of those in foreign lands less fortunate than we. As long as slave labor camps exist and nations utterly disregard human dignity, and wheresoever such other evils are permitted to continue, our own way of life is endangered. On this anniversary of the adoption of this unprecedented, valuable declaration, advancing the cause of all mankind, we should rededicate ourselves to increasing our efforts for progress in this field of human relationship. This declaration marks the first time that an organization of international governments formally declared, and I quote, "Recognition of the inherent dignity and of the equal and inherent rights of all members of the human family is the foundation of freedom, justice, and peace in the world. All human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights. They are endowed with reason and conscience and should act towards one another in a spirit of brotherhood." End quote. These wonderful words, my friends, have a special meaning for all of us. Let us remember that every victory we score for human rights in our own communities advances the most crucial campaign ever waged, the campaign for the survival and peace of all mankind.
Thank you, Judge DeFalco. Our Eternal Light drama today, Triumph in Samaria, was written by Peter Barry, presented in observance of Human Rights Day. The music was written by Morris Momorsky and conducted by Roy Shield. Cantor Robert Siegel sang the liturgical introduction. Featured in the cast were Louis Van Ruden, Joe DeSantis, John McGovern, Roger DeKoven, Ralph Camargo, Bert Conlon, Guy Repp, Norman Rose, and Connie Lemke. This is Dick Dudley speaking. The program was directed by Danny Sutter. This is the NBC Radio Network.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Command the children of Israel that they bring unto thee pure oil olive, beaten for the light, to cause the lamps to burn continually in the tabernacle of the congregation, and it shall be a statute forever in your generation.
The Eternal Light. The National Broadcasting Company and its affiliated independent stations present The Eternal Light,
a program which comes to you under the auspices of the Jewish Theological Seminary of America. Today's program, A Formal Accusation, was written by Peter Barry.
It is stated in the Talmud that when a man suffers through no fault or guilt of his own, he may consider his punishment a punishment of love. For as the Torah tells us, whom the Lord loveth, he chastiseth.
I doubt that there are many jokes about the legal profession that I haven't heard. And I have yet to hear one that's flattering to my colleagues, the lawyers of this world. I often have to remind myself that a lawyer framed our Constitution. Another one preserved our Union. And a third, young and not yet so illustrious, acted as counsel for the defense in the case of the state versus Louis Janetta. The third lawyer of mention was one Joseph Edmund Wilde, my own junior partner. And it gives me renewed faith in the integrity of my profession each time I remember him on that November morning in a hostile courtroom doing battle for what he knew was a dangerous and unpopular cause.
As much as I regret it, Your Honor, the prosecution leaves me no choice but to object again.
I must protest. I can't possibly present the state's case in the face of these constant and irresponsible objections.
I object to the prosecutor's objection to my objections. And I further submit that if the state's case requires that my client be browbeaten and intimidated, it might better remain unpresented.
The counsel for the defense is advised to spare the court the benefit of his observations.
Exception.
Noted. The prosecution may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Now then, Mr. Janetta.
Yes, mister.
I will repeat the question. And I remind you again that you're under oath.
Yes, mister.
Is it not true that until your arrest in the recent police raids, a gambling operation was conducted in connection with your business at 1721 Avenue D?
I don't understand you, mister.
You understand, don't you, that I have here the duly sworn affidavits of no less than 20 persons who placed bets on the numbers in your shoe repair shop?
Yes, mister.
Then answer the question.
But I try for answer, but you no let me. Maybe I tell you again what I said.
You will answer the question, yes or no.
Objection.
Overruled.
I must urge Your Honor to believe that this present question requires more than a yes or no.
I protest that the question is profoundly simple.
But it's not a profoundly simple situation.
Hence, counsel will resume his seat.
I beg the court's indulgence. The fact is, a gambling operation was conducted on my client's premises, but my client did not conduct it.
I warn counsel that I will not tolerate any further interruptions. And I instruct the clerk to strike his remarks from the record.
Then I must instruct my client not to reply to the question.
It is imperative to the hearing that he reply.
Then it's imperative to the hearing that the question be altered.
Does the defense counsel have a recommendation to make along those lines?
Yes, I recommend that it be rephrased to discover if certain persons representing a criminal syndicate did not coerce my client into permitting his premises to be used for the very activity for which he's here on trial.
In short, he recommends that the state neglect to prove its case.
No, I urge that it be abandoned altogether.
And that your client be conveniently acquitted?
My client is innocent.
I propose to prove him guilty, as charged.
And if you do, if you contrive a case against him out of the meagerest letter of the law and convict him, what then? You'll have accomplished nothing more than the social and psychological degradation of a single unlucky commonplace citizen. But acquit Janetta. Acquit every Janetta. Say to the world that we know the trouble lies elsewhere, and the powers that be will have to dig deeper and yield up the actual masters of the network that has victimized my client and will continue to victimize thousands like him.
Touched as I am by my young colleague's eloquence, I submit that it's Louis Janetta and not some nameless syndicate that's here on trial.
And I submit that What's here on trial is this court of justice itself.
If the counsel for the defense wishes to be held in contempt, he is going about it most efficiently. Court is adjourned till 3 o'clock this afternoon.
Taking the case had hardly been a wise move for a young lawyer, and Joe knew it. It was November, near election. The administration was eager for quick convictions on its gambling rackets cleanup, and Joe knew that, too. But far and above more difficult for him, his decision had given rise to a family quarrel that had ended with his wife, Helene, suddenly boarding a plane for a visit with her family in California. Still, he'd stuck to his guns, grimly involving himself with the work at hand, determined, resolute, and as unhappy as I'd ever seen him. He had smiled so rarely during the first 2 weeks of the trial that I was startled when I joined him in the taxi at the courthouse curb to find him bright and confident and quite himself again.
But, Bernie?
Yes?
That jury's mine.
Do you think so?
I know so. I'll win this case.
Can Janetta and I depend on that?
Mm-hmm. Depend on it.
Morning paper! Morning paper!
Here you are, kid.
Right, mister.
Yeah, keep it.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Morning paper! Morning
Joseph?
paper.
Yeah?
Before you bury yourself in the news, what did she say?
Who?
Helene.
What makes you think I've heard from her?
Yesterday, my friend, you were a quiet, morose young man. Today, you seem sure of practically everything, including the fact that this is the best of all possible worlds.
And you've asked yourself what produced such a change, eh?
And I have answered myself. A letter from Helene.
Well, fairly amazing, my dear Sherlock. You're wrong in only one detail.
Oh, which one?
It wasn't a letter.
No?
No. Telephone.
She called you?
Mm-hmm.
Where?
Yesterday.
Where?
Oh, it'd be a perfect afternoon if I didn't have to be in court at 3:30.
What's happening at 3:30?
Helene's arriving at the airport on Flight 16 from San Francisco.
The boy was in love, deeply and desperately, and I knew that it had taken the last ounce of his courage not to relent when the Janetta case had loomed as a shadow between them. It was a little after 1 when we reached the office. He was smiling, I remember, as he tossed his hat and paper onto the desk and buzzed for the secretary.
Yes, Mr. Wild?
Will you come in for a minute, Miss Anderson?
Yes, sir.
Bernie.
Yes?
No, Bernie, I think a lot has happened to Helene.
Oh?
Yeah. Yesterday on the phone, she said, I know now that I'm proud of you. What I felt before was small and grudging, and I'm glad to be done with it.
You remember word for word.
The kind of stuff a man doesn't soon forget. Bernie, you know what I think? I think she ran away from herself and found herself running.
Thank God for it, then.
Yes. I have an idea he's been very good to us.
You want me, Mr. Wild?
Oh, yes, Miss Anderson. I'd like you to take a taxi ride this afternoon.
Taxi ride?
Mm-hmm. Out to the airport. We'll meet Flight 16 at 3:30 our time.
Flight 16?
Mm-hmm.
If this is supposed to be a joke, I don't think it's a very funny one.
Joke?
Yes?
What do you mean, joke?
Well, haven't you read your paper?
Paper? Paper?
What's the matter, Miss Sanderson?
Well, who was on the plane?
His wife.
Wife? Mr. Wild! Mr. Wild, don't read it!
Joe. Joe, what is it?
Oh, Helene.
He had dropped the paper. His face drained of blood. Before I could pick it up, he'd made a lunge for the telephone. And I stared, unable to believe a word of what I saw. Then the bold, black fatality of the headlines pierced through my bewilderment, and I felt my lips moving numbly as I read. Plane crashes in Nebraska mountains. Flight 16 from San Francisco lost in record snowstorm. By the time I was aware of the world around me again, Joe was shouting into the telephone.
Flight information. Hello, flight information.
This is flight information, sir.
What about Flight 16?
Well, sir,
Talk to me, will you? My wife's on that plane.
we're not in possession of much information, sir.
Can I go to her? Can I get to her?
I can't say, sir. The whereabouts of the plane haven't been established.
What has been established?
Well, there are 500 rescue craft combing the area, sir.
Are there any survivors? Can you tell me that?
No, I can't, sir. We lost their radio signal before they crashed, sir.
The voice continued talking on the other end of the wire, but Joe was no longer listening. His eyes seemed suddenly to have gone dead in their sockets, and he let Miss Anderson take the telephone from his nerveless fingers. Slowly, vacantly, he took his hat from the desktop and moved toward the door.
There'll be someone here, yes. Please let us know the moment there's a bulletin.
Where are you going, Joe?
I don't know.
Will you be all right, Mr. Wilde?
I can't say. I've no idea.
Perhaps you'd better go with him, Mr. Lewin.
No, please, no one. I want to be by myself. By myself.
I didn't dream. I mean, who could have imagined?
She called him yesterday. She was coming home.
I wondered why he looked so happy. So happy.
He was going to have you meet her. You'd have brought her to the courtroom. The moment he'd prayed for was actually coming.
Mr. Lewin?
Yes?
What's going to happen?
What worse can happen, my dear?
No, I mean about the trial, Mr. Janetta.
Janetta? Janetta?
What are you going to do?
I've got to talk with Joe.
But in the condition he...
It's his decision, Miss Anderson. No one else can make it. I suppose the barroom should have been the first place to look for a man so stricken. Knowing Joseph, it was the last. And when I found him, he was sitting, staring at an untouched glass, unable even to try to escape. It took all the strength and callousness in my nature to broach the subject, but it had to be broached. It had to be broached.
So?
I know how you feel. I know so well. I can't find words, but it's your case, boy. I have to leave it up to you.
Yeah.
Well?
Get an adjournment, Bernie.
Adjournment?
Yeah. A long adjournment.
Do you think there's any possibility he'll grant it?
You mind if I don't care?
I understand. Where do you go from here?
Home, I guess.
Stay there, will you?
Mm-hmm. If I can.
I'll talk to the judge. I talked to the judge, but before I'd said 5 words, I knew there wasn't a chance in the world.
Mr. Levin, I have the deepest sympathy with your partner's grief, but there are specific obligations which conflict with any desire I might have to oblige him.
Such as?
Why, my obligation to uphold the interest of the prosecution.
Have you any obligation to Mr. Janetta, Your Honor?
The motion for adjournment is denied. The court will convene at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, at which time the defense counsel may either appear or supply a substitute attorney.
He knew, as he said it, that there wasn't another attorney in the state who would touch the Janetta brief. He knew that it would end with the court appointing some makeshift, inadequate representation for the accused. But he was acting within the letter of the law, and I could do nothing but thank him for allowing me to be heard and make my way back with the news. Joe stood looking out at the darkness beyond his apartment windows. And when I'd finished reporting, I wasn't at all sure he heard me. A clock in the bedroom ticked the minutes away, and another clock somewhere out in the gathering night told the hour before he finally spoke.
Call Hanlon.
Arthur Hanlon?
Yes, he's a good man.
A good machine man. He'd laugh in my face.
Oh, what about Moffat and Levy and Webb? They couldn't say no to you.
They wouldn't, but they'd find them out. No use turning to them.
Well, so who?
I honestly don't know.
Turn to yourself then, Bernie.
Are you suggesting that I go in?
Well, only if you want to.
I'd want to if I could handle it, but I can't. And you know that as well as I do. It's a job for a young man, a strong young man with fight in him.
If you're implying that I should stick it out,
Joe, if you
I
could.
can't.
Not possible?
Well, why should I? What does it mean to me now?
What does Mr. Janetta mean to you?
Nothing. As far as I'm concerned, he no longer exists.
But he does exist. That's the whole point.
Not from where I sit. The real point is that I no longer believe in the classic joke of right and wrong.
What do you believe in, then?
It's not a question of belief, it's conviction. There's injustice in the weave of things, I tell you. That's the bitter final fact.
You've had a very bad day.
Not so bad that I don't know what happened to me.
What happened was a tragedy, my boy. What an injustice.
You're going to tell me I deserve this?
Will you tell me who has been unjust to you?
Who?
I demand a name.
All right, I'll give you a name then. God himself has been unjust to me.
I see. You're a good lawyer. A good, reasonable lawyer.
And beyond the reach of flattery.
I am not trying to flatter you, my boy. I am asking you as a good and reasonable lawyer to state your case against God.
What? Look, I'm in no mood for jokes.
Nor am I.
What do you want from me?
A formal accusation.
All right. I accuse him of murderous negligence. Will that do, Counselor?
Not until you've specified the charge.
I think the details are self-evident. He let her get on that plane, didn't he?
You offer that as good and sufficient ground?
Yes.
Then I institute a counter-accusation.
Counter-accusation?
I accuse you of murderous negligence.
What are you talking about?
You also let her get on that plane.
You losing your mind, Bernie?
Is that the best defense you can make?
Defense?
Would she have gotten on it if she had never gone away?
What are you driving at?
Would she?
No.
Then why did you let her?
Leave me alone.
You could have stopped her. You could have yielded to her, persuaded her.
Yes, I could have tied her to the bedpost.
And she'd be alive today if you had. Why didn't you?
Are you kidding me? Did I know there was going to be any danger?
Of course you knew. There's danger in all freedom. Did you have a guarantee that no plane would fall, no train would crash, no boat would sink?
You're trying to drive me crazy.
Irrelevant. Why did you let her go?
Because she wanted to.
You offer this as an answer?
Are you telling me I should have deprived her of her freedom?
I submit that you could have.
But I couldn't.
Why not?
Because I loved her.
And that wasn't unjust of you?
Unjust of me to have loved my own?
You are calling it unjust of God to have loved his own.
What are you saying, Bernie?
Nothing that is beyond you, Joe. Only that he loves man as you loved Helene.
That I doubt.
How can you, when the similarities are so great?
Similarities?
You chose not to restrict her. He chose not to restrict us, nor to manacle our spirit to the tyranny of any forces save our own will, despite all peril and all consequence.
It was a pretty deadly choice.
It was a dangerous choice. There is a zone of hazard in every path of freedom, my boy. But if it were removed, the common freedom of the living would vanish with it. Believe me, we could only have been safe as Helene could have been, tied to the bedpost of controls and limitations. And he knew this in the hour of our creation, and at stake was the free, unlimited flow of human growth toward its ultimate potential. And he knew this to be worth every risk involved.
Pretty grim, the risks he ran.
It was a great gamble, but in his love he took it. And in his love, he created man free.
In his love. Too bad in his love he didn't create man without a capacity for grief. That would have been some evidence of loving kindness.
I'm not sure all men would want it so.
I'd want it so.
You would? He could have made you that way. It's true.
If only he had.
As insensitive as a stone, inert, static, without sorrow or feeling.
Well, why didn't he?
Nothing would have bothered you ever. But then you couldn't possibly have loved her.
Not have loved her.
A stone lacks love as well as grief, my friend. Your love came of the encounter of two free spirits. Would you relinquish that encounter, Joseph? Would you cancel it out?
No.
Then withdraw your accusation and be content.
Content?
If you cherish the fruits of your freedom, shall you not bear whatever losses it involves?
I can't bear this loss. A marriage, half-formed, just beginning.
Your marriage, Joe, had blossomed to full flower.
What are you talking about?
Its one purpose was her emergence into an understanding of herself and you, of the significance of your relationship and of the world. She might have stayed and lived, but in her freedom she chose to run, and running she found herself, and the miracle of growth occurred. She made the grade, Joseph. Be glad she made it. How can I be glad? She probably lived more in her few hours of realization than she would have otherwise in a century.
What about me? What about all the endless, empty future? If only I'd done something to deserve such punishment. I'd feel better if I had.
You'd feel worse, not better.
Well, at least I'd have found some logic in this misery.
You needn't seek a logic, Joseph. It's written in the Torah for you.
In the Torah?
Clearly. It says, "Whom the Lord loveth, he chastiseth." Let that suffice you, my boy. Take courage.
Oh, how can I? Her life was all I lived for. How can I go on without her?
Who says you need to?
She's dead, Bernie.
Yes, she's dead. But a life is like a great work of music, which doesn't end when the composer dies. Her life is such a work. We turned away to the window again, but somehow I felt that the hand of doom had relaxed its grasp. After a time, a night breeze stirred the curtains, and he squared his shoulders and took a deep breath. Next morning, when court convened, Janetta sat and blinked in bewilderment at Joe's empty chair.
Has the counsel for the defense supplied the substitute attorney?
He has not, Your Honor.
Then the court will proceed to appoint representation for the accused.
That will not be necessary, Your Honor. The counsel for the defense will continue to represent his client.
And he did. And the trial was a long and arduous uphill fight. But Joseph and justice both prevailed, and Janetta was acquitted. A week later, Helene's belongings were delivered to her husband. Among them was a diary, the last entry midway the pages. It was imagination and nothing else, but as I read the words, I seemed to hear her voice again, clear and young and vibrant.
I've just talked to Joe on long distance. I wanted to make him understand what I feel now. All that I've learned in the weeks between. But I'm afraid I didn't quite manage to put it into words. It's not easy to express yourself when your heart is full. But I won't give up trying. In a few minutes now, I leave for the San Francisco airport. And perhaps if I think of nothing else during the long journey ahead, I may be able to say it all by the time I see him again.
If you would like a copy of today's script, please send your name and address with 10 cents to cover the cost of postage to the Jewish Theological Seminary of America, 3080 Broadway, New York, 27, New York. And now we take great pleasure in presenting Mr. David Borowitz, chairman of the Combined Jewish Appeal for Chicago and member of the Board of Directors of the Southside Hebrew Congregations. Mr. Borowitz.
We have just heard a moving story about a man who, in the middle of a heroic and selfless fight for justice, was dealt a stunning blow which threatened the central basis of his existence. The person he loved most dearly in the world was suddenly and without known cause taken from him. No wonder that he doubted the nature of God's justice. As tragedy strikes, we all react with anger against the need for suffering. The Bible says that whom the Lord loveth, he chastiseth. How many of us can listen to these words and find comfort in them when we are desolate with grief? Yet, somehow Joseph Weil listened, and in listening, he understood what the Talmud meant when it says that when a man suffers through no fault of his own, he may consider suffering a punishment of love. The deepening of Joe Wild's insight gave him greater understanding of the works of God's universe. And he was then able to withstand his difficulties and go on. For he understood that God, in his love, made man free to feel the wonderful thrill of creation, but on the other hand, free also to make mistakes and suffer the anguish they entail. There's another lesson in today's story as well. The striving for justice is a constant theme in the Bible. In the book of Deuteronomy it says, "Justice, justice shalt thou pursue." We are also told in the Talmud, the world exists for three things: justice, truth, and peace. But the pursuit of justice is not easy. Sometimes it threatens our security and comfort. Sometimes it causes such severe unpleasantness that it is tempting to give up and let the world go its way. Yet we cannot give up. We have no choice unless we are willing to relinquish all the moral value of life, but to accept the struggle and engage in the Herculean task of bringing the world closer to the ideal of justice. We have no choice but to go on as Joe Wilde did, accepting life as it is, accepting the consequences of our freedom, and do whatever we can in the cause of the right. And if we do, the final triumph of justice is assured.
Thank you, Mr. Borowitz. Our Eternal Light drama today, A Formal Accusation, was written by Peter Barry. Cantor Robert Siegel sang the liturgical introduction. Featured in the cast were Alexander Scorby, Edwin Jerome, Julian Noah, Guy Sorrell, Norman Rose, Louis Soren, Michael O'Day, Mary Jane Higby, and Lola Pisa. This is Mel Brandt. The music was composed by Morris Momorsky and conducted by Roy Shield. This has been an NBC Radio Network production directed by Daniel Sutter. This weekly program is presented under the auspices of the Jewish Theological Seminary of America. This is the NBC Radio Network.
Unto Moses, saying, Command the children of Israel that they bring unto thee pure oil olive, beaten for the light, to cause the lamps to burn continually in the tabernacle of the congregation. And it shall be a statute forever in your generations. The Eternal Light.
The National Broadcasting Company and its affiliated independent stations present The Eternal Light, a program which comes to you under the auspices of the Jewish Theological Seminary of America. Today's program comes to you from Cleveland, Ohio, through the facilities of station WTAM. It is entitled The Man Who Knew Lincoln, was written by Virginia Mazer, and stars the distinguished actor Raymond Massey. Donald Buca as Edward Rosewater. This program marks the anniversary of the historic Emancipation Proclamation.
Go down, Moses, way down in Egypt land. Tell old Pharaoh to let my people go.
January the 1st, 1863. The day began like any other day. From the White House, we watched the usual wet snow turn into the usual rain. We heard the usual rumble of mule wagons carrying supplies to the army across the Potomac. And we saw the usual number of armless and legless men in blue among the crowds on Pennsylvania Avenue. Yes, on the outside, it was a day like any other dragging, war-weary day.
But over at the War Department telegraph office, it was different. We were waiting for something. At last, the door opened, and he came in. He looked old and tired. He came in quietly, as usual, a folded piece of foolscap in his hand. This was it. This was what we'd been waiting for. No trumpets sounded, no guns were fired. Instead, he warmed his hands at the coal fire, then turned to me at the telegraph key.
Any news for me this morning, young fella?
No, sir, not so far. No news is good news, I guess.
Not always. A fisherman doesn't call it good luck when he can't get a bite, now does he?
No, sir, I guess not.
I have these papers here. I want one of you boys to take it down for me and send it out over the wire. Will you oblige me, Mr. Rosewater?
Of course, sir, gladly.
For 6 months, would you believe it, I've been writing on this thing, and this is all I come up with. 2 sheets of foolscap. But it's better to say too little than too much. Don't want to be like that long-winded politician back home. Folks always said the reason his speeches were so boring was he got started talking and was too lazy to stop. Anyway, here it is. 2 sheets of foolscap. But they'll make a difference in a lot of people's lives. We'll see. You ready, Mr. Rosewater?
Ready, Mr. Lincoln.
By the President of the United States, a proclamation. All persons held as slaves within any state or designated part of the state, the people whereof shall be in rebellion against the United States, shall be then, thenceforward, and forever free.
Go down, Moses, way down in Egypt land. Tell old Pharaoh to let my people go.
January the 1st, 1863. A day much like any other day, but with this difference. On that day there went out to the land, on wings of wire, the news that a mortal blow had been struck against slavery in the United States.
Even as we listened to Mr. Lincoln speak the dry and bone-bare words, we knew that something old was dying. Something new was struggling to be born.
And upon this act, sincerely believed to be an act of justice warranted by the Constitution upon military necessity, I invoke the considerate judgment of mankind and the gracious favor of Almighty God.
I, Edward Rosewater, 22, an immigrant Jewish boy from Cleveland, Ohio, by way of Buckawan, Bohemia, was the telegrapher who telegraphed the Emancipation Proclamation to the world. Only in America, I think, could this have happened.
The Rosewaters had arrived in Cleveland in the year 1854, same year that Illinois sent me, Abe Lincoln, to the Congress for the first time. They'd come to the New World to escape the sorrows of the old, but at first glance they could see little difference. Poverty was here to greet them like an old relation.
Old clothes, I buy old clothes, the old clothes today, the old clothes.
Like my father, the father of Edward Rosewater, had dreams of glory for his sons. But bread came first. There were 9 hungry children to be fed. So Edward, the oldest, was sent out into the hurly-burly with a peddler's pack.
Well, what do you want, boy?
Please, ma'am. I have needles, thread, buttons, ribbon.
Don't need any. On your way. Wait. Have you got any braid?
Braid? No braid.
Well, go along then.
Oh, lady, you want braid? I bring braid. I bring it tomorrow.
Oh, it's you again. What do you want now?
You say braid. I bring braid.
What? You little numbskull. You brought me a loaf of bread. I said braid, not bread. Don't you foreigners know nothing?
America was cruel. America had no heart. Why had we swapped Buckawan for Cleveland? Here I was a drop in the bucket, a cipher, a nothing. But wait. Wait, perhaps I was wrong. Perhaps Cleveland did have a heart.
You are wrong, Edward. You haven't given America a chance. You're in such a hurry. How long have you been here? 2 years? 3?
4 this October 19th. What have I accomplished, Leah?
Why, ever so much. Look at you. You began as a peddler, and now you're a full-fledged clerk in the biggest dry goods store in town.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. I didn't come to
My
America.
father says you're the best clerk he ever had. Why, I heard him tell Mr. Loeb the other day that you're the only clerk he ever saw who could wrap a package without using any string.
Leah, I didn't come to America to learn to wrap calico.
My father's store carries silk goods, too, I'll have you know.
Oh, now, look here. I'm not running down your father's store. It's a perfectly good store. It's just that I want...
What? What do you want, Edward?
What did I want? Who at 18 can say what he wants? I wanted the world with a string around it.
But Edward Rosewater wanted something more, too. I knew because I felt the same mute longings as a backwoods boy in Illinois.
It's as easy as falling off a log, Ed. Just a series of dots and dashes. That's all there is to it. They call it the Morse code.
You really think I'll be able to learn it?
A guy with your brains is simple. Nothing to it. I'll give you my manual and some pointers, and you come down here to the depot every night and practice. The station master says it's okay.
You're awfully good to do this for me, Warren.
Forget it. I want to get you out from behind that counter. This is the land of opportunity. Telegraphy is a common profession. Lots of openings for operators these days. No telling, Ed, how far this will take you.
Leah, now that I'm leaving Cleveland, I hate to go. There's so many fine people here. People like your father, and Mr. Coleman, and Warren, and... Well, you know what I mean.
I think so, Ed.
I think I ought to tell you it's been a very enjoyable friendship. On my part, I mean.
Oh, on my part, too.
Leah... Well, I guess I better go.
I guess so, Ed. Remember, Cleveland will always be waiting for you.
Do you mean that?
Oh, of course I mean it. I'm a very sincere kind of person.
Leah, look, this may come as a surprise to you, but I'd like to kiss you goodbye. That is, if you wouldn't...
Why, Ed, I don't know what to answer. What would my father say here in broad daylight in front of everybody?
I don't care what he'd say. I'm not kissing your father. Leah.
You better go now. You'll miss your train.
Goodbye, Leah.
Goodbye, Ed.
From Cleveland, I went to Oberlin, Ohio. And from Oberlin, I went south to Tennessee to take charge of a telegraph office there.
Dear Leah, it's hot down here. 104 in the shade today. But the people are fine. Just like the people back home. Dear Leah, something happened today. I've always believed that slavery was wrong. But it was a private kind of feeling. Today I saw a little colored girl being sold as a slave. It made me sick to my soul. Before I knew what I was doing.
What am I bid? What am I bid? $100. $100. I have a bid of $100.
Stop it! You can't do this! Don't you see that she's just a little girl?
What's the matter with that fella anyway?
The heat's got him.
Well, look at her! You can't sell a little girl for money like you do a horse or a cow. Nobody's got the right to say what a human being is worth.
Hey, Ed Rosewater. Can I talk to you for just a minute?
Sure, come in, Bert. Anything you wanted to talk about in particular?
Well, I figured you'd know.
You mean about what happened this afternoon?
Uh-huh. Folks are sort of upset about what you did.
So help me, Bert, I had to. I couldn't stop myself when I saw that little girl up there in that auction block.
I know how you feel. I didn't like it any more than you did, I reckon. But it's the way things are down here.
Well, then they ought to be changed.
A lot of things ought to be changed, Ed. Down here, we got slaves growing our cotton. Well, maybe that's wrong, but it's our business. Up north, you take our cotton, spin it into cloth, and, well, I hear tell the folks that work in your factories ain't much better off than our slaves. Maybe that's wrong, too. But it's your business. See what I mean?
I see, all right, but I don't agree with you. Right and wrong aren't a matter of geography. We're one country. Now, what's your business is my business. What's mine is yours.
No, folks around here don't hold that view. They say you had no right meddling into what doesn't concern you.
But it does concern me. I'm a human being, and so is that little girl. I couldn't stand there and watch
Ed,
her...
I told you. I didn't like it any more than you did. But it's the way things are down here. If you don't like it...
Bert, there's a town down in Alabama that needs a telegraph operator. I think I'll take a look at things down there.
You're crazy. What you want to go messing around down in Alabama for?
Well, for one thing, I don't like to quit under fire. And for another thing, Bert, I just happen to like the South, believe it or not. I like it. The year was 1860. In Alabama, seed time went and harvest came. And over the telegraph, I heard the words a man named Lincoln spoke to a man named Douglas.
When the white man governs himself, that is self-government. But when he governs himself and also governs another man, that is despotism. No man is good enough to govern another man without that other man's consent.
Rosewater, those are fighting words you just took down. Mind you, if this fellow that calls himself Abe Lincoln is elected president...
We sat in the telegraph office waiting for news of the election. We sat on a volcano.
Mind you, if this fellow Lincoln is elected...
Outside on the station platform that night, a carload of slaves had been rolled onto a siding. Out there in the darkness, I could feel their very presence.
You gotta travel that lonesome valley. You got to go there by yourself. Ain't nobody here gonna do it for you. You gotta travel that lonesome valley by yourself.
What you pulling the shade down for, Ed? It's hot.
It's them. I'm ashamed.
Oh, shucks, that ain't no way to talk. They're happy. They wouldn't always be singing if they weren't happy.
It's wrong, wrong, wrong. Can't you see how wrong it is? Now, look, you read the Bible. What about this? Woe to him that buildeth his house by unrighteousness, and his chambers by injustice. Woe to him that useth his neighbor's service without wages, and giveth him not his hire.
Stop ranting and raving, man. Get the telegram. What'd they say?
Oh, wait a minute. Thank God.
Ed, tell me.
He won. Lincoln won.
You're just saying that to aggravate me.
No, it's the truth, so help me.
Well, Ed, this means war. Where you go?
I'm going outside to tell them the boxcar. Listen, all of you! All of you, listen! Lincoln's won! Hurrah for Lincoln! Hurrah for Abe Lincoln and the Union!
Oh, freedom, freedom. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom after a while. And before I'd be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord and be free.
I told you Cleveland would be waiting for you, Ed.
Leah, it's hard for me to tell you this, but I'm not staying. Now, please don't look like that.
But you've been away 2 years. 2 whole years.
I know.
Oh, I don't care how it sounds. I'm tired of being prim and proper. I'm tired of being a lady, and I'm tired of waiting. When you go this time, Ed, you've got to take me with you.
You've got to believe me. I want to take you with me more than anything in the world, but I can't, Leah. I'm going into the Army.
The Army? But you wrote me from the South that telegraph operators are exempt.
I don't want to be exempt. I want to be in it. Leah, if a thing is wrong, you fight it. You just don't stand in a corner with your face to a wall.
No one can tell you what a war is like. No one. But Ed Rosewater was soon to learn. With the army of General Fremont, he crawled on hands and knees through the blood and the mud of the West Virginia wilderness.
My job was to lay telegraph lines that would keep our forces in communication with other commands. From Fremont, I was assigned to General Pope. From Pope, I was sent to report to General McClellan's quarters at Manassas. After Manassas came reassignment to the telegraph office in Washington.
Dear Leah, you know how disappointed I was to be removed from the field. but there may be compensations. They say the president spends more time here at the telegraph office than anywhere else. I may be lucky enough to meet him.
Any news for me this morning, young fella?
Nothing so far, sir. Excuse me. I mean, nothing so far, Mr. Lincoln. I mean, Mr. President.
Never mind the title. You're new, aren't you?
Yes, sir.
Tell me your name.
Rosewater, sir. Edward Rosewater.
I don't think I ever heard that name before.
Well, it's really Rosenwasser, sir. My father Americanized it.
I see. Wasser. That's German for water, isn't it?
Yes, sir, it is.
So you weren't born in this country, eh?
No, sir, in Bohemia, a place called Bukowan. You probably never heard of it, sir.
Don't apologize.
He would come over from the White House wearing his carpet slippers and an old shawl thrown around his shoulders. Often as not, he would give us his messages directly without bothering to write them out.
To General McClellan, hold on with a bulldog grip and chew and choke as much as possible. Signed, A. Lincoln. To General Pope, Bull Run, which side of the creek are you on? A. Lincoln. You know, young fella, that telegram I just sent reminds me of the old woman whose pig got loose and ran around the creek. She and her husband lit out after him. Do you see him, husband? Which side of the creek is he on? I don't know, wife, but I think he's on both sides.
Early that summer of 1862, we asked one day for a pencil and some sheets of foolscap.
I got some ideas I want to try out on paper. I don't know if they'll amount to anything much. Maybe like shooting at the moon with a slingshot. But we'll see.
Every day he would sit for an hour or more, his forehead wrinkled in concentration, and every night what he had written was locked in the old iron safe in the corner of the telegraph office. Eventually, we began to suspect the subject of his endeavors.
What do you think about slavery, son?
I'm against it, sir.
So am I. But you wouldn't know it to read the newspapers. The abolitionists say I've betrayed them. They want a proclamation of emancipation right away. Wherever I go, there are Mr. Sumner, Mr. Stevens, and Mr. Wilson to haunt me. They are my Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. But I won't let them push me into anything premature. This subject is on my mind day and night more than any other. But emancipation without a military victory to back it up would be a meaningless act. All through that desperate summer, they had locked away in the safe in the telegraph office those 2 pieces of foolscap that the whole land was waiting for. Our losses continued to be heavy. There was the second Bull Run, Fredericksburg.
13,000. That's what it says, sir, 13,000.
You know what that means?
Yes.
13,000 men killed. War. This awful, awful war. Well, what do you got for me this morning?
We're just sending a messenger to the White House, sir. It's good news.
Let me see.
Here, sir.
Thank God. McClellan has stopped Lee at Antietam. I think I'll just take a look at those papers we got stashed away in the safe. It may be now that the time is right. Up to now, with our armies in retreat everywhere, it might have been nothing but a big noise. Did you boys ever hear about the 2 hunters lost in the woods at night? They kept hearing a strange noise. They didn't know what it was, and they kept beating around the bushes, but they couldn't find anything. Let's go on, one of them said finally. Whatever it is, it's nothing but a noise. Whatever else I am, the Lord let me be remembered as something more than a noise.
Go down, Moses, way down in Egypt land. Tell old Pharaoh to let my people go.
The day began like any other dragging, war-weary day. But we in the telegraph office were waiting for something. At last he came in, looking old and tired, a folded piece of paper in his hand. This was it.
Are you ready, Mr. Rosewater?
Ready, Mr. Lincoln?
By the President of the United States, a proclamation. All persons held as slaves in certain designated parts of the United States, the people whereof shall be in rebellion against the United States.
Many things happened to a man in the course of his lifetime. I, Edward Rosewater, was to go back to Cleveland and to marry Leah Coleman. Later, I would go west to Omaha and found a newspaper. I would serve in the legislature of that state for many years, fighting always as best I could for the rights of minority groups in America. I was to introduce bills providing institutions for the deaf and dumb and blind in Nebraska. And in the city of Omaha, I would help to found and build the first Jewish hospital in that state. Yes, many things happened to a man in the course of his lifetime. But of all the days of my life, this one day stands out above the others. Something old began to die that day, and something new began struggling to be born. It is still a borning.
And upon this act, sincerely believed to be an act of justice, warranted by the Constitution upon military necessity, I invoke the considerate judgment of mankind and the gracious favor of Almighty God.
Oh, freedom, freedom, oh, freedom, oh, freedom after a while. And before I be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord, and be free.
If you would like a copy of today's script, please send your name and address with 10 cents to cover the cost of postage to the Jewish Theological Seminary of America, 3080 Broadway, New York 27, New York. And now we take great pleasure in presenting Judge Albert A. Woldman, Judge of the Juvenile Court of Cleveland. Judge Woldman.
Abraham Lincoln has been acclaimed as the supreme American. To free men throughout the world and to myriads longing to be free, Lincoln is known as the saint of democracy. Therefore, everything pertaining to the immortal emancipator is of the greatest importance. The newly discovered diary of Edward Rosewater, the Jewish immigrant boy who became War Department telegrapher, to whom President Lincoln entrusted the dispatching of his epoch-making Emancipation Proclamation to the world, constitutes a unique addition to our knowledge of the great Civil War leader. Edward Rosewater knew Lincoln. His was the historic opportunity to meet him frequently, to talk to him, and to observe him during moments of disaster and times of triumph, as, wrapped in a shawl and wearing carpet slippers, the worried president visited the War Department telegraph office to receive news from the battlefronts. On this 93rd anniversary of the Emancipation Proclamation, which Edward Rosewater flashed to the world at President Lincoln's request, we cannot help but pray that the time may not be far distant when another Abraham Lincoln may come to enunciate a world proclamation, to emancipate all mankind from the slavery of fear, hate, intolerance, and man's inhumanity to man, that at long last men the world over may live as brothers, with malice toward none, with charity for all.
Thank you, Judge Woldman. Our Eternal Light drama today came to you from Cleveland, Ohio, through the facilities of station WTAM, and was entitled The Man Who Knew Lincoln, written by Virginia Mazer. Cantor Robert Siegel sang the liturgical introduction. Featured in the cast were Raymond Massey as Lincoln, Donald Buca as Edward Rosewater, and balladeer and guitarist was Tom Glaser.
Today's program was based on the Rosewater collection of manuscripts in the American Jewish Archives of the Hebrew Union College in Cincinnati, Ohio. This has been an NBC radio production directed by Stuart Buchanan. Bill Mayer speaking. This weekly transcribed program is presented under the auspices of the Jewish Theological Seminary of America.
This is the NBC Radio Network.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Command the children of Israel that they bring unto thee pure oil olive, beaten for the light, to cause the lamps to burn continually in the tabernacle of the congregation, and it shall be a statute forever in your generation.
The Eternal Light. The National Broadcasting Company and its affiliated independent stations present The Eternal Light, a program which comes to you today transcribed from Hollywood under the auspices of the Jewish Theological Seminary of America. Today's program, The Human Element, starring Jeff Chandler as Ira, was written by Will Loring.
It seems there's a connecting link between sympathy and passion, between form and failing, between action and ambition. Of course, it's the human element. Everybody knows that. Well, not quite everybody. I didn't at first, and by the time I found out, well, this is my story. Me, I'm an enthusiastic type of fellow. I always have been, and if I'm not careful, I always will be. It's like my mother used to say.
I have 3 sons. The oldest, a poet, a born poet. The second, a genius in mathematics, no doubt about it. And Ira? Well, Ira is enthusiastic.
And why shouldn't I be? I have the 3 things in life I want most. I always wanted to be an agronomist, and now I am, and a good one, too. Second, I'm betrothed to the most beautiful girl in the world, and also the smartest. And third, I live in Israel, where everyone is enthusiastic. Of course, a person who's not enthusiastic should live somewhere else. The jungles of Africa, the North Pole, someplace where life is easy. Now, for instance, the other day I was present at a conference of high government officials where the second deputy undersecretary of commerce said to me,
Ira, my boy.
A very important man. Notice the enthusiasm.
Ira, we're proud of you. The program for peanut production is a tremendous success. I don't have to tell you what this means for our export situation.
And the second deputy undersecretary of agriculture said,
My boy.
An even more important man. He's my boss.
We in agriculture are doubly proud of you. After all, we conceived this program, so naturally we're pleased with its success. However, I must remind the gentleman from Commerce that we're more concerned with home consumption than export. And furthermore...
I beg your pardon. Let me explain to you the rudiments of balance of trade.
Well, evidently I have to explain something to you. Now, look here.
Excuse me, gentlemen.
You don't realize that our peanut crop is a highly desirable export commodity.
But you don't realize how many uses we have for this crop right here in Israel. Why, the peanut oil alone.
There. Isn't that a lovely discussion? So many possibilities. Such enthusiasm. Of course, it's very satisfying to be in a position where the only disagreement is how to make the most of success. Well, that's how it is today. Unfortunately, I'm afflicted with a good memory, and I remember, how clearly, that only 5 years ago the discussion wasn't quite so delightful.
Ira!
That's the same gentleman from Commerce. He was only 3rd deputy then.
What's the matter with our peanut production?
How do you mean?
What do you mean? How do I mean? There is no peanut production. Don't you know we need exports?
If you will permit me, please, this is our problem.
That's my boss again, before he was promoted.
Ira, my boy, never mind about the exports. Now, you're an agronomist, so you know all the reasons we need peanuts right here at home. Don't you, my boy?
Oh, yes, sir. As I see it, there are 9 basic values. 1...
Then why aren't we growing any?
Well, sir, the farmers don't want to grow them.
Ira, my boy, I want you to go in your Jeep and make a tour of the country.
Oh, but, sir,
you have to persuade the farmers to cooperate with this program. It's really very simple. What were you going to say?
Sir, I just came back from a tour of the country.
I'm giving you a second chance. You want to be an agronomist?
Oh, yes, sir.
So get out there and agronomize.
I must confess, at that point, I was feeling just a little less enthusiastic than usual. In fact, I was discouraged. As I said to my bride-to-be, Ruth...
I know, dear. You're discouraged.
I am? I am, but how do you know?
No enthusiasm.
Oh.
Ira, would you be offended if may I offer you some advice?
Why should you be an exception?
Well, you know I think you're the most wonderful person in the world. And certainly the smartest man in the agriculture department.
Well, my boss thinks not so highly.
Well, it seems to me you've gone about this the wrong way.
Oh, Ruth, dear, you're very sweet to try to help me, but really, you don't know the problems, and I do.
I had in mind people.
Please, no psychology.
Well, all right. Why do people emigrate to Israel?
And no philosophy either. Let's stick to peanuts.
Ira, you're dampening my enthusiasm. That's better. Now then, why do people come to Israel?
Freedom?
What else?
Hope?
Well, there's a very big reason. To be individuals.
So?
Well, it seems to me you've gone about your job thinking that facts alone would be convincing.
The facts are convincing if only people would pay attention.
Well, they will pay attention if you will bear in mind that each person is an individual. And they must be approached differently.
Well, I get so carried away by the possibilities of peanuts as a crop that I just get carried away, I guess. Can I help it? I'm an enthusiast.
I'm glad you said that. Now, do you know how the dictionary defines an enthusiast?
You mean where you have a bookmark already?
It says, the term sometimes implies a subordination of judgment to enthusiasm. Ira, the human element. Although we all do have the same hopes for our country, even in Israel, there are no two people alike.
Even in Israel? Especially in Israel. So, off I went on my second chance. But this time, in addition to being armed with facts and figures, I made a list of all the people who had turned me down before. At Ruth's suggestion, next to each name, I put down what I remembered about them. Their personal likes and dislikes, their backgrounds, their interests. And whenever I had a few minutes, I read a little bit in the book Ruth gave me as a good luck gift. What book? That's right, the one by Dale Carnegie, Hebrew translation.
I'm sorry, Ira. Our land is already being put to good use. Isn't that right, Hannah?
That's right.
Benjamin, I don't mean to be nosy, but I was walking around this afternoon, and, well, you know that back section over there?
On the west boundary?
Yes.
Well, what about it?
Well, there's about 200 dunams there, and I didn't notice anything growing there.
That's all been decided. That 200 dunams is earmarked for cotton. Isn't that right, Hannah?
Yes, that's right, for cotton. More tea, Ira?
Oh, no, thanks. Benjamin, why don't you give it a try? Peanuts, I mean.
If you're going to try a new crop, what difference should it make whether you grow one or the other?
All right. I'll tell you what difference it makes. This is a successful kibbutz, wouldn't you say?
Oh, certainly.
It's thriving, busy,
Are people happy here?
Yes, but...
All right. Now, do you remember what it was like when we first came here?
You mean it was barren?
Barren. Not only was there nothing growing here, nothing could grow here. We spent almost a whole year just clearing away the rocks before we could even start planting. Tell him, Hannah. Tell him what it was like.
Backbreaking.
And heartbreaking. All right. We would do it again if we had to. We'd go through it all again, gladly. Put roads in the wilderness and crops in the desert. But for what? For grain, yes. For dairy, yes. For fruit, yes. But for peanuts? Is this the staff of life? Is this the milk and the honey?
No, I see what you mean.
After all, Ira, a man has his pride.
Yes, I guess you're right.
All right, then. I'm glad to see you're a reasonable man. Have some more tea.
No, thanks. You're right, Benjamin. A man has his pride.
Of course.
Unfortunately, that's only half the problem.
What's the other half?
A woman's pride.
What have women got to do with it?
Well, oddly enough, for a woman, peanuts could mean more than milk and honey.
Ira, the discussion is closed. I don't want to hear any more about your...
Excuse me. Ira, what did you mean for a woman?
Hannah, they tell me you're a good cook. What do you use for baking and for frying?
Well, it's a problem. Most of our butter has to be taken to market, so we use very little. And olive oil is so expensive.
Exactly. Now look at this. We've been doing some testing in our laboratories. Here.
What is it?
It's a new cooking oil. Go on, smell it and taste it.
Mm-hmm. Well, so?
That's peanut oil.
Now, Hannah, the discussion is closed. You know we decided months ago that...
Excuse me. Is it expensive?
It's much cheaper than olive oil, and you don't have to use as much.
And would this really be available to us here?
If there's a big enough peanut crop, yes.
Benjamin?
Oh, no.
Benjamin?
A man has his pride.
A woman has no pride in her kitchen? Can I cook with cotton?
Oh, Hannah.
As a favor to me.
Ira, you're a scoundrel.
A year from today, you'll thank me. Hannah, would you like to keep that bottle?
Can you spare it?
It's yours, with love and kisses from the Department of Agriculture. Well, what's new, Avram?
Nothing, I'm afraid. Things are pretty much the same as when you were here last.
Oh, it's difficult, huh?
Well, I don't have to tell you the problem with growing young trees out here. Yes, it takes time, and more water than we can spare, and a less sandy soil than we have here.
I know. But I don't blame you for trying. After all, growing trees, that's really something special.
That's it exactly. I grew up in a city, and, well, there were some trees there, of course, one here, one there, but all my life I had an image, row after row of trees as far as the eye could see.
Oh, it's a beautiful picture.
Isn't it? You know, in the old days, whenever I had trouble sleeping, I would lie in bed, close my eyes, and concentrate. Pretty soon, would you believe it? Pretty soon I could just hear that lovely sound. Trees rustling at night. And that would put me to sleep. Would you believe it?
I believe it.
And now look. 3 years we've been working at it, and look at those scrawny things. Ah, my orchard.
But you're doing fine, Avram. In another few years...
Another few years.
Well, that's one thing that must be said about peanuts. You see results in one season. All the things that work against trees here, the soil, the lack of water, it doesn't matter with peanuts. You could have a fully grown crop, a valuable crop in one season.
Really?
And the government will take all you can grow at a good price.
In one season?
That's right. Say, you know something?
What?
I just left Beth Shan. There's a settlement there, one of the older ones, of course, and they're planning some crop changes. They want to sell off some of their young trees for transplanting. They have more than they need.
How young?
Oh, on the average, they're 3-4 years older than yours. And next year, they'll still be young enough to be transplanted successfully.
Oh, it would be wonderful to see results sooner, but I don't see how we could manage it.
Avram, you could earn enough from a peanut crop here the very first year to buy maybe 50 trees.
You think so?
I do.
We'll do it. Good.
Do this. Do that. How about this? Try that. 28 years I've been a farmer in Israel, and for 28 years I've been getting suggestions.
No, Muttle, wait a minute.
Oh, you wait a minute. Who knows better what grows well around here? You desk farmers in Tel Aviv, or the real farmers who live right here?
Well, you do, of course.
Oh, that's right. Me and my neighbors who've been here for years. But do you think my neighbors give me suggestions, even though they do know what it's like around here?
They wouldn't dare.
What do you mean they wouldn't dare? You think I'm more hard-headed or something?
No.
Of course not. Why, I'm a reasonable man, approachable.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just fed up with the suggestions from the government, that's all.
Have we ever steered you wrong?
That's not the point. Every week it's something new. Pamphlet number 247. Have you tried our new chemical fertilizer for spring planting? Pamphlet number 981. Tractors are now available on short-term rentals at nominal cost. Right for information. That'll be the day I'll ask you schoolboys for information. And now, peanuts!
You don't like the idea?
No!
Uh-huh. You know about the change in the subsidy situation with peanuts.
I don't care how much subsidy the government is offering. I wouldn't grow peanuts if they offered...
There's no subsidy at all.
And another thing. If you think for 1 minute no subsidy?
Not if you don't want it.
Well, I must say you have your nerve. No subsidy.
Not a penny.
And you expect to persuade farmers to try a new crop with no
Oh, there is an inducement.
What? A year's supply of government pamphlets bound in leather?
3 tons of grain fodder for every ton of peanuts produced. That's right. 3 for 1. You know, I just left your neighbor over there.
Jacob?
Yes, Jacob. He's making pretty big plans for his new crop. But then those are beautiful cows he has there, and I guess he wants that fodder.
He has beautiful cows? Have you seen my herd?
Oh, yes, I have.
Is that the best dairy herd in Nahalal or not?
So far, yes. But once Jacob starts the exchange 3 for 1, don't forget why he's...
No, not so fast.
But, Muttle, you know how people are. Jacob is a pretty independent man. Once he makes up his mind to do something for his herd, nothing can stop him. He even...
All right. You'll have 50 tons from us. Now I'll get back to work. Goodbye, Ira.
Only 50 tons? And you a farmer 28 years? Well, a greenhorn could do better with one hand tied behind
If you don't watch your tongue, you're liable to get 250 tons from us. Now go on back to Tel Aviv and plow your little furrow between the desks. All right, go on.
But I wasn't quite ready to go back to my desk. Not for another month, in fact. Just now I was on my way to one of the newer kibbutzim between Be'eri and Kesufim. I had a double reason for coming back here. For one thing, this was one of the few collectives that had agreed to plant peanuts on my first trip around. By this time, they would already have finished harvesting, and I wanted to see how they made out. For another, I wanted to see my old school friend, David, who lives there. David isn't a farmer at all. He's the settlement's safety officer. And it's quite a responsible post he has. You see, this particular settlement is just 1 mile from the Gaza Strip.
Halt.
Aren't you going to say who goes there? Take the light out of my eyes, you idiot.
Ivra, how are you?
It's good to see you, David. They told me you were on guard duty tonight.
Yes, most nights, Ivra. Well, what brings you out our way?
Oh, the peanut crop, of course.
Let's go up on that ridge. We can sit down there for a few minutes anyway.
Oh, fine.
Ivra.
Yeah?
About that business last year.
Oh, that's what I want to talk to you about. Do you still feel the same way?
No, I was wrong. When you were here last year and the question of the new crop was being discussed, I'm afraid my arguments against it were rather childish.
Oh, not childish, a little romantic, perhaps. To tell you the truth, I was never quite sure if you were serious or if you were kidding.
You mean when I protested against risking my life for peanut? Believe me, Ira, I half meant it. There's something about the idea that just rubbed me the wrong way.
Well, naturally. I'm sure if I'd been in your shoes, well, it would seem rather absurd. What made you change your mind?
You remember what you said about this crop giving work to new immigrants, to inexperienced immigrants?
Yeah.
A month after you left, Ira, we got over 400 new people.
Oh.
I've seen this happen before. Immigrants come in and they want to be farmers. They'd rather be farmers in Israel than anything else in the world. But they're not prepared for it, Ira. Physically, I mean. Most of them have never done manual labor before, and in the past it's been terribly discouraging asking them to do work unlike anything they've ever done before.
Yes.
After all, it takes time, Ira, to toughen up, to learn the ropes.
I can see what must have happened.
Exactly. Here was a crop that had to be worked by hand. The work was certainly essential, still it wasn't so backbreaking as to discourage a raw farmer with blisters on his hands. Now they're used to working outdoors, and they're used to working with their hands.
It's wonderful.
You know, Ira, the day the harvest was finished, old Aaron, bless him, proposed a toast to the new farmers. We're proud of you, he said. Israel is proud of you. Oh, Ira, you should have seen their faces. I'll take a look around. You'll be here for a while?
Overnight. I'll see you at breakfast.
Certainly. It'll be breakfast for you, but supper for me.
All right. How do I get back? Over here?
Yeah, that's right. Keep bearing left. That's the path for very important people.
Oh? All of a sudden I'm a VIP?
We think so. Good night, Ira.
Good night, David.
Not interested.
300 byproducts?
Not interested.
Puts nitrogen back in the soil.
Not interested.
Elisha, this is my last stop before I go back. Why are you giving me such a hard time?
Don't take it personally.
It's quite a plant, you know. It gives us vitamin A, vitamin B, vitamin C.
Ira, you're a nice fella, but I'm
not interested. Yes, I know. All right. Nothing more to say.
You mad?
No, of course not. We'll just have to send the machinery back to Kenya, that's all.
Hmm?
So long, Elisha. I'll be seeing you.
Well, what did you say?
I said I'll be seeing you.
No, before that, about the machinery?
Oh, that. I didn't mention it before?
No.
Well, we got the machinery for peanut production from the British. It seems they bought a lot of equipment when they tried to grow peanuts in Kenya, but they couldn't make a go of it there. So we acquired the machinery for very little money. But I guess we're no better farmers than they are. Well, that's how it goes. So long, Elisha.
Well, wait a minute. From Kenya?
That's right, from Kenya. Well, here's my trusty little Jeep. Bye.
All right. Send down some plants.
What did you say? I can't hear you.
Well, turn off your motor and you'll hear me. I said send down some plants.
For how many dunams?
Oh, let's say 300.
With all your land? Not interested.
400.
Not interested.
All right. Send enough for 500 dunams.
That's more like it.
Ira, they couldn't make a go of it, huh?
So it seems. This amuses you?
Make it 600.
Well, At least that's the way with a new crop in Israel. Oh, I've learned a lot these past few years. Facts and figures are important, but the human element? As I said to my wife only the other day, Ruth.
Yes, dear?
You know the dictionary definition of the word human?
I see you already have a bookmark there, so go ahead.
It says, frequently connoted the common sympathies, passions, or failings of men. Their forms, actions, ambitions.
Well?
Oh, nothing. I just thought you'd like to know. That's the way of the world.
If you would like a copy of today's script, please send your name and address with 10 cents to cover the cost of postage to the Jewish Theological Seminary of America, 3080 Broadway, New York, 27, New York. And now we take great pleasure in presenting Mr. Charles Crown, officer of the University of Judaism in Los Angeles. Mr. Crown.
As Ira says in the play, facts and figures are important, but the human element, that is really important. In the young democracy of Israel, all these statistics would not mean much if the people had not always been ready to do the impossible, and if unstinting help had not come from American Jewry through the United Jewish Appeal. In the nearly 8 years since Israel came into being, the people have recorded almost incredible achievements, particularly in development of the land, which had been barren for thousands of years. The object of the intense agricultural development program had been to supply food for a vastly increased population and to speed the absorption into productive work of the immigrants who poured in and doubled the country's population in 7 years. The human element, the people's willingness to do everything they could, to build freedom, to keep Israel's gates open to make any sacrifice in order to take in all who needed to come to Israel from lands of oppression, spurred them to make the vast, overwhelming, difficult dream of making the desert bloom a reality. Like our American pioneers, Israel's people were ready to sacrifice their own comforts to open up more land for those who need to come. Despite every problem that confronts them, the people of Israel are determined to keep the gates open for the scores of thousands in tension-ridden lands who want and must go there. They are equally determined that those who arrive will get an immediate opportunity to become productive citizens in the new settlements begun by those who came before them.
Thank you, Mr. Crown. Our Eternal Light drama today, The Human Element, was written by Will Lauren. Cantor David Putterman sang the liturgical introduction. Jeff Chandler was starred as Ira. Featured in the cast were Irene Tedrow, Stanley Farrar, Paul Fries, Vivi Janis, Jim Nusser, Jan Arvan, Rolf Sedan, and Tom McKee. This has been an NBC Radio Network production, transcribed in Hollywood and directed by Andrew C. Love. This weekly program is presented under the auspices of the Jewish Theological Seminary of America.
This is Monitor, the NBC Weekend Radio Service.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Command the children of Israel that they bring unto thee pure oil olive, beaten for the light, to cause the lamps to burn continually in the tabernacle of the congregation. And it shall be a statute forever in your generation.
The Eternal Light. The National Broadcasting Company and its affiliated independent stations present The Eternal Light, which comes to you under the auspices of the Jewish Theological Seminary of America. Today's program, which comes to you transcribed from Hollywood, is a radio adaptation written by Marion Voigt and is based on the true experiences of Avner Carmi, author of the book Harp of King David. Our narrator is Richard Todd.
Centuries on centuries ago, the Lord spoke to his prophet Ezekiel and said, "Therefore prophesy, and say unto them, Thus saith the Lord God, Behold, O my people, I will open your graves, and cause you to come up out of your graves, and bring you to the land of Israel. And I will put my spirit in you, and ye shall live." So spoke the Lord. And today, long centuries later, the prophecy is fulfilled. All Israel exults as grave after grave of the past is opened, and 1,000 resurrections fill the land with joy and wonder. This is the story of one of those resurrections, which has added its own unique music to the music that fills all Israel today. It's the story of a piano, and of one man's search for that piano across a span of more than 30 years. It begins when that man, Avner Carmi, is a boy in Jerusalem, standing at the bedside of his grandfather, once a concert pianist known all over Europe. But now, Matthew Janaury is an old man, sick, and remembering many things.
Yes, I played for the King of Italy, and it was afterwards he told me of another piano called the Harp of King David.
Truly, they called it that?
For the wonder of its tone. And something else. According to legend, this piano of Siena was made of wood that came from the pillars of King Solomon's temple. 2 pillars called Joachim and Boaz that were saved when the temple was destroyed and carried to Rome. Every inch of its surface was beautifully carved with cherubs and with the heads of composers from every nation. It was a symbol of peace, the king told me, and the music that unites all nations. And when he saw my interest and excitement, he promised that one day I should see it and hear it.
Did you, Grandfather?
No. I had to leave Italy soon after. I never returned. Now it is clear I never shall.
Oh, Grandfather.
Promise me now that one day you will go to Italy and see the king. Ask him if you may see and hear this piano in my stead. You will do it, Avner?
Yes, of course I will, Grandfather. Grandfather.
So many years I've imagined it. But you will hear it plain.
It was a promise Avner Carmi made. There was no thought that with this promise he was starting on a long road towards one more fulfillment of an ancient prophecy. It was a promise that stayed in his mind as he studied the structure of pianos, learned the secrets of their tone and tuning. Following this goal, he left Jerusalem and journeyed to Germany and France to study. And when he had completed his studies and had become an expert piano tuner and maker, it was time to return to Israel, and at last the road led through Rome. Carmi hurried at once to the gates of the Quirinal.
Halt there! Yes, you. Halt when a king's guard commands you. No admittance here.
Yes, but I come on a mission. I wish to see the king.
Oh, indeed. Well, you'll never do it this way.
How then? Please tell me.
Write him a letter.
A letter? That is the way? Well, then I'll do that. I'll write him a letter at once and tell him the whole story.
Yes, you do that. Then when you have the king's answer, you come back.
But there was no reply. Disappointed, Carmi went on to Israel. There were full days now at home. There was a marriage to Hannah, the wife of his dreams. There was work, establishing the piano hospital in Tel Aviv. But the promise was not forgotten. And when he had a chance to return to Europe, once again he made sure the road home led through Rome.
Momento. Oh, wait a bit, Signor. A year ago, 2 years ago, I have put just such a letter into Italian for you, have I not? Oh, that is right, and I received no answer. Maybe you ought to try another method. You are a stranger in Rome. You do not know that every Friday morning His Majesty visits the fish market. There he may be approached by anyone. Many go there to ask favors. The fish market? Friday morning? Yes. Well, then that's it. I've only to wait till Friday. There he is, the king himself, standing like any commoner before the fish stall. Your Majesty, I must speak. Oh, I beg your pardon. It's about your father's piano, Your Majesty, made of wood from Jerusalem. Your father's piano.
Piano yourself, assassin. You think the king is unprotected even here? Here, now.
Wait, let go of me.
Stop struggling, assassin. You're coming with me.
But I'm no assassin.
Come now. The police will deal with you.
At the police station, it was clear soon enough Carmi's papers were all in order. But there was still so much talk of a piano. Was this Carmi sane?
Captain, if you please. I am in Rome with the pianist Arthur Schnabel. You understand. You know the name. If you would telephone him, he would vouch for me. Arthur Schnabel. Oh, merci.
At last the captain returned.
See, I have spoken with him, the great Arthur Schnabel himself. And what has he said? One person falls in love with the king's daughter, one person falls in love with the king's son. But Carmi, Avner Carmi, has simply fallen in love with the king's piano.
Really, it was becoming a joke by now. All this effort just to see and hear an old piano, to keep a long-ago promise. But perhaps it has happened to you, too. Frustrated again and again at achieving what seems like an easy goal, you finally become obsessed with the need to reach it. So, at any rate, it was with Carmi. Now the piano became an obsession to him. And before he left Rome, there was new hope. He met a certain Professor Leonardo, keeper of an apothecary shop, and pharmacist to the king himself.
Yes, indeed, Signor Carmi. I see the king and speak to him often. The next time I have the opportunity, I shall ask him of this piano.
It is called the Harp of King David.
As soon as I have news, I shall write you at Tel Aviv.
But weeks went by, then months. And at last business again took Avner Carmi to Rome.
Professor Leonardo, it is I, Avner Carmi.
Signor Carmi, how good to see you again.
Oh, I'm happy to hear you say so. When you did not write, I thought he regrets he met such a pest.
No, I apologize for not writing. But it was hard to send bad news.
Bad news?
Signor Carmi, no one at the Quirinal has ever heard of such a piano as you mentioned. There is no piano such as your grandfather described.
A man does all he can do, and then he can do no more. In the absence of any evidence anywhere that the piano even existed, what could Avner Carmi do but return to Tel Aviv and try to forget the old dream? There was no evidence, no proof. And then, one day, he rode a Tel Aviv bus and talked idly with the friend who sat beside him.
Oh, yes, I've studied many old pianos. I saw a Liszt piano in Weimar, Chopin's in Paris, Beethoven's in Bonn, but I would hate to hear their works on such boxes.
I beg your pardon, sir.
Oh, why, yes, what is it?
Well, I apologize for interrupting, but I couldn't help overhearing. And I wondered, you've seen such important historical pianos. Have you ever seen and heard the Siena piano? The one that was a wedding gift to the King of Italy?
Beg your pardon. Did you say the Siena piano?
Yes, that's right.
But I thought... wait a moment. Where have you heard of this piano, sir?
I was reading about it just last week in the library.
Reading about it? In what sort of book?
In the German encyclopedia. Tima Becker.
Tima Becker? But wait, the bus is stopping. Never mind. I'll get off and I'll go to the library now. I'll read every book. Wait, I'm getting off.
The Tima Becker encyclopedia stretched across the library shelves in volume after volume. He read from morning till night, and when his eyes blurred, he hired a student to read as well. And then, one day, as he read through the F's...
Ferri, Nicodemo Ferri, native of Siena, carved a piano which was given to the King of Italy as a wedding gift. There it is, in black and white, proof. It is no legend, but true.
Once again, the promise he had made his grandfather was filled with the breath of reality. And, of course, Hannah rejoiced with her husband. But she pleaded with him, too, not to be in such a hurry to return to Italy to show Professor Leonardo a photograph of the wonderful works. It was 1940.
But Italy is neutral, Hannah, my love.
Stay home, Abner. You have that concert grand piano you must repair.
To fix the grand properly, I need parts from Turin.
But I know. Your old dream of the king's old piano is more important to you than the children and me.
Hannah, you know I would not dream of going if I thought there were danger. Don't worry. All will be well.
The next morning, Carmi left for Turin. Business concluded, he hurried at once to Rome. But Professor Leonardo was gone from the city for the day. Then Carmi had an exciting thought. In Siena, where the piano had been made, he might find further documentation of his dream. Now, once again, chance, or destiny, put a helpful stranger at his side.
So you travel to Siena, my son, even as I. I have been in orders there 25 years now. Find new marvels daily.
25 years. Then perhaps you know something about a piano which was built there by 4 generations of one family, the Marchiosis. Later, the city gave it to the king for a wedding gift. Have you heard of that piano, Father?
No, I'm afraid not. But wait, go to the city hall and look in the archives.
You think it would be noted?
I will take you to the city hall myself. We shall see together what the archives have to say.
And so it was, one more piece of the pattern fell in place. And Abner Carmi discovered exactly how the king's piano looked. For there, in the archives of Siena, were actual photographs of the piano. One full front, one profile. All the rich carving of garlands and cherubs showing clear and plain. Now, pausing only to take his own photographs of this evidence, he hurried back to Rome.
Professor Leonardo, you're back. Wait till you hear my news.
Signor Carmi, what luck. I have news for you. Such news.
The Siena piano does exist. It is not a legend.
I know it exists. I have seen it.
I saw a photograph. You've seen it? Here? Here in Rome?
No, it's no longer in Rome. That is why no one at the Quirinal knew about it. It was moved to the Palazzo at Monza several years ago. I saw it there with the king not a month ago. Oh, if only I could take you to it, my friend. But tell me, Signor Carmi, why are you in Rome now? War may be declared any moment. My friend, you must get back to Israel at once, before it is too late.
Professor Leonardo's fears were justified. While Abner Carmi was still on the way home to Israel, Italy entered the war. Soon, Carmi found himself no longer an onlooker, but a driver in a British Army transport unit. Now, as he drove from camp to camp in North Africa, collecting discarded material and carrying it to army dumps, all pianos seemed part of another life. Then, one day, after Rommel's defeat in El Alamein, Carmi's captain called.
Carmi! I say, Carmi! Just the job for a piano expert. A musical mime, no less.
A musical mime?
Frightened the boys nearly to death when their detectives picked up a chromatic scale coming up from under the sand. Come on, I'll hop on the truck with you and see for yourself. Here we are now. Just around this dune. On this sand. Ah, there.
Looks like a tomb, not a piano. Covered with plaster from top to bottom.
That's right. And solid as concrete.
The keyboard is all right, but I cannot get a sound from the instrument.
Sand clogging the works. Want to look inside? The boys had the front open.
Good heavens, it is veritably an antique. The action is old, very old.
Well, Carmen, she's your baby now. Take her to Ordnance and see what they make of her.
A plaster piano. Boy, now I've seen everything. Okay, take her around to the dump to be burned, Carmi.
To be burned? A piano?
Got any other suggestions?
But it's a sin to burn a piano. A piano, my friend, is an expansion of the harp of King David.
But, Carmi,
It will surely play again if the sand is cleaned out. Please do not burn it. I beg you.
Abner Carmi could not bear to see any piano destroyed. That was the only thought in his mind as he pleaded for this old instrument. And he was satisfied when he saw it later traveling with an entertainment troupe. By the odd coincidence of war, he saw the plastered piano several times. In Palermo, Sicily, as the Allies invaded Italy and Naples. But then, when Italy was finally liberated, there came a great day. The way was finally clear for Carmi to go with his friend, Professor Leonardo, to the Palazzo del Monza. The promise made so long ago was going to be realized.
Well, here we are at last, Carmi, after all these years. The piano was right here in this room. Right against that wall, right over...
Pardon, senors. Perhaps I could help.
Oh, why, yes. We were looking for a piano that used to be kept in this room. A beautifully carved piano. It was called the Siena piano.
Ah, see. See, I remember it, senors. Beautiful indeed. Most beautiful. So, of course, they took it. As they took every beautiful thing.
They took it? Who took it?
The Germans, senor. Who else?
Taken by the Germans. It was a phrase that had spelled the end for hopes much greater than Carmi's. Taken by the Germans. There was nothing more to say or do. The war ground on. Carmi drove his truck here and there in Italy. Once, indeed, he hauled the plaster piano again to a dock in Naples, where the entertainment troupe was embarking for the Near East. Carmi thought to hear this piano he'd saved, but the case was locked. And then, at long last, came a long leave back home to Tel Aviv, with Hannah and the children.
Yes, the war news is good, Hannah. And you are right. I will reopen the piano workshop while I'm home.
This is the time to start, Abner, to be ready when the war is over.
That's right. Start the workshop, Daddy. And we have your first job for you, a very sick piano. Come, we want to show it to you now.
Right now, I must see the sick piano's mirror?
Yes, right now. Come on. It's right down the street on the sidewalk. There it is, Daddy. Right ahead there.
Here we are. And see, it is covered with plaster.
Plaster? Oh, no, it can't be.
Can't be what, Daddy?
But it is. It is my old desert pal. I'd know it anywhere.
Abner, what on earth? You know this piano?
Indeed, I do, Hannah. I saved its life once when it was dug up from the sand outside El Alamein and consigned to the dump. I argued the ordnance officer out of burning it.
Really, Daddy? This very piano?
This very piano's mirror. After that, I saw it again and again all over Africa and Italy.
Now here it stands before you again.
Truly, Israel is the land of miracles.
And now you can fix it, can't you, Daddy?
The action is gone now.
Well, yes, I know.
So all the parts that matter are gone, but All this solid plaster. Nothing hurts this. And who would want such an ugly hulk in their home, supposing I did spend months of work on it?
Daddy, don't hit it like that. It's a piano. It's still a piano with a soul all its own.
Yes, I know.
You say you have saved it once already, Avner. How can you say it is hopeless?
It's a piano, Daddy, with a living soul.
All right. I give up. My pupils keep the faith better than I.
You'll fix it, Daddy?
Yes, I'll do my best.
Daddy, look here.
What is it, Mira?
When you hit the piano, you hit it so hard a piece of plaster fell off.
Impossible. This piano has banged around for years, and not one chip of plaster has fallen.
Just the same, Daddy. A great big piece fell off just now. And see, when you look inside the piece, it looks like the carving of a cherub.
Carving of what?
Why, Avner, it is so. The plaster shows the shape of carving. Wait, where did this piece fall from?
There, Mommy, there. See, Daddy? Daddy, what's the matter? Why are you staring that way?
That carved cherub there on the piano, it looks so very like the cherubs on the photograph from Siena.
The photograph? Avner, no. You're imagining things. This old plaster-covered piano, it couldn't be.
Where are those photographs of the Siena piano, Hannah? I've got to get back to the house and get them and check. It's not possible, but still. It's not possible, but it is so. This plaster-covered piano that crossed and recrossed my path so many times, while I sought the piano of my grandfather's story, this one is the king's piano, the Siena piano made of Jerusalem wood. And here it stands before my very house in Tel Aviv. After all my searching, the harp of King David is here. Truly, Israel is a land of miracles.
There were weeks of labor ahead, removing all the plaster. But at last the piano stood revealed. The ancient sacred wood from the temple of King Solomon himself, glowing with warmth and life.
It is enough. Even though it does not play, even though the works are gone, it is miracle enough that we see it at last.
Wait, Hannah. We will hear it as well. Now I know why I've spent my life learning all there is to know about building pianos. With God's help, I promise you now, the harp of King David will play again. For so the Lord promised Ezekiel, "Behold, O my people, I will open your graves and cause you to come up out of your graves and bring you to the land of Israel. And I'll put my spirit in you, and ye shall live."
And so, one more grave is opened. And a piano, like no other in the world, adds its own unique music to the glad chorus that swells from all Israel today. And ye shall know that I, the Lord, have spoken it and performed it. Thus saith the Lord.
If you would like a copy of today's script, please send your name and address with 10 cents to cover the cost of postage to the Jewish Theological Seminary of America, 3080 Broadway, New York 27, New York. And now we take great pleasure in presenting Maurice Turner, member of the Board of Overseers of the University of Judaism. Mr. Turner.
The Harp of King David is another of those truer-than-fiction engaging stories emerging from the war. We have heard the legend that the piano was made in Italy of wood that came from pillars of King Solomon's temple. It was destroyed in the year 70 by the Roman Titus, whose triumphal arch still stands. The final dispersal of the Jews from Jerusalem occurred with the razing of the Holy City. The experiences of Avner Carmi parallel, in a minor degree, the history of the Jews. We can well ponder on what hidden, significant forces interplayed to reunite in modern Israel the remnants of the temple and the remnants of the tribes of Judah and Israel. What miracles can and do result from man's dedication to an idea, an ideal, a promise, and an unswerving faith in its fulfillment? It required an amazing number of coincidences to concur, veritably taxing credibility, for Carmi to be able to see and hear played the harp of his grandfather's intense dream. Through countless ages, Jews have prayed that next year might see them reunited in Jerusalem, although fully cognizant of the rough and seemingly impassable road to travel before that happy event could occur. Yet the faith and determination of dedicated generations, helped immeasurably by understanding friends, fortuitous circumstances and coincidences, combined to permit in 1948 the establishment of the State of Israel. The realization of such aspirations by men and nations in the past fortify our hope that the ultimate goal of a universal mankind may perhaps in our generation be achieved if but we have the proper wisdom, the courage, the faith. But was it only coincidence, circumstance, and faith that resulted in the fulfillment of the dreams of Carmi and the eternal Jew? How much is ascribable to a mysterious and powerful force we divine must exist to give reason, understanding, and explanation for so many things not within the knowledge of man?
Thank you, Mr. Turner. Our eternal light drama today, The Harp of King David, came to you from Hollywood and was written by Marion Voigt. Cantor David Putterman sang the liturgical introduction. Our narrator was Richard Todd. Featured in the cast were Ralph Moody, Don Diamond, Howard Culver, Jack Carroll, John Stevenson, Mark Sheeler, Bert Holland, Gene Vanderpyle, and Mary McGovern. This has been an NBC Radio Network production transcribed and directed by Andrew C. Love. The piano heard in today's broadcast was a recording of the actual Siena piano as it exists today by Esoteric Records. This weekly program is presented under the auspices of the Jewish Theological Seminary of America. Don Rickles speaking.
This is Monitor, the NBC Weekend Radio Service.
Spake unto Moses, saying, Command the children of Israel that they bring unto thee pure oil olive beaten for the light, to cause the lamps to burn continually in the tabernacle of the congregation, and it shall be a statute forever in your generations.
The Eternal Light. The National Broadcasting Company and its affiliated independent stations present The Eternal Light, a program which comes to you under the auspices of the Jewish Theological Seminary of America. Today's program, The Day, was written by Peter Barry and comes to you transcribed from Hollywood.
My name is Selma. After 14 years of cooking meals and making beds for Rabbi Simeon, I hoped a little bit of his genius might have rubbed off on me. But I suppose genius is like beauty. It either is or it isn't. I could have sworn that our village was practically a perfect place. I remember thinking to myself what a worthy lot of visitors we had the morning before the day it happened. Why, at noon I ushered in Marcia Ben-Haran's distinguished widow. Her name was Milka, and she stood looking down her nose at the rabbi like the fine lady I always thought her to be.
I spoke with Ludium, your brother-in-law, and it's true.
Oh?
Your husband sold the land and the cattle to him the week before he died.
I suppose Ludim told you that. It's obvious he took you in, and it's just as obvious that I'm wasting my time here.
Milka, my daughter, I'm afraid the cattle and the farm are gone beyond recall.
Then my daughter and I will suffer the consequences. We want nothing, thank you, except what is our own.
It was a fine speech, I thought, as I listened at the door. The speech of a proud and self-respecting woman who asked no quarter and gave none. And I'm frank to say I admired her, but no more than I admired Nobby, the tailor, who came at 3:30.
I'm a man who's always believed in living and letting live.
And a very good principle it is, Nobby Ben Yitzchak.
Aye. But principle or no principle, I'll put up with it no longer, heaven help me.
Now then, brother...
Now then, indeed. The peace of the village counts for something, I hope.
And who is disturbing the peace of the village?
My neighbor, that's who.
Your neighbor?
Shmuel Ben Gul.
The plasterer?
If he has any time left for plastering.
What do you mean?
I mean he's bought himself a drum.
A drum?
A great booming beast of a thing it is. And he spends hours on end beating it and caterwauling. Come to us, O Messiah! I am a poor old man! It's enough to draw a man's nerves as taut as a kite string.
I see. Have you spoken to him about it, my son?
12 times, at the top of my voice.
And what has he said?
You will not believe it. He tells me it's no fault of his if I don't enjoy music. He thinks he's making music on the infernal thing.
And isn't he?
Well, you have him here. Judge for yourself.
Perhaps I shall. I will speak with Shmuel, but I fear I have no means of checking him.
Then I'll give you means. I'll form a committee of irate citizens to break the contraption over his head.
And I was to be even deeper impressed when, toward the later afternoon, Hirsch Ben Lamach, the woodcutter, arrived, stacked the new wood in the shed, and laid a fire in Rabbi Simeon's fireplace.
And how much have you brought us this time, Hirsch?
A quarter of a cord, Rabbi.
Good, good. And you will pay him, please, Selma.
How much do we owe you?
Nothing.
What?
Good afternoon to you now.
What did he say?
I don't think he understood me.
Oh, yes, I understood the wood will cost you nothing.
Nothing?
Exactly.
Oh, one moment now.
Good day, Rabbi.
What are you doing, Hirsch?
What I'm not doing is more to the point, I guess.
And what is that?
Well, I'm not charging for wood anymore.
Oh, you mean you're not charging me?
I'm not charging anybody.
Will you forgive me my curiosity if I ask what's caused this change in policy?
Well,
Speak up, my son.
Well, truth to tell, I'm a little embarrassed.
Why?
Well, it should be you who are telling me instead of me telling you.
What?
Rabbi, the Messiah is coming. I tell you straight out, he is.
Well, of course he's coming, Hirsch, in time.
Not a lot of time. He's coming soon. Haven't you noticed how the weather's been lately? Hot one day and chilly the next, with some of the trees still green here in the middle of October?
And it's on this that you based your discovery?
Oh, I didn't discover it.
No.
My father has the honor.
And might I ask how it was done?
In the right kind of way, never you fear. There were a deal of old books and dusty calendars, and though I swear to nothing, it's possible more than a little work was done with magic of numbers.
I think you'd best let me pay you for the wood here.
Never you mind.
I'll owe it to you then.
You will owe me for nothing. I want no man in my debt at a time like this. And it is a time to reckon with whatever you think. Albeit he's a gooseherd by trade, many will tell you that my father's as wise a man as ever plucked a gander. The Messiah is coming, Joshua ben Simeon. You can depend on it. He is.
All that work free of charge. But the rabbi showed not the slightest sign of appreciation. Instead, he walked slowly across the room and sat, staring into the fire until it was all but dwindled to ashes.
So much to learn.
How was that?
Oh, I'm afraid I was talking to myself.
Oh. Poor Erskine Mama, eh?
Poor?
You don't think he's losing his mind?
No.
You don't?
Should I?
After all that impossible talk about the Messiah?
What is impossible with God?
Oh, I don't understand it. You don't actually think that...
I think nothing, Selma, except that I'm going to take a walk.
He was scarce out of sight before, with a great cackling of chickens and geese, the sky had gone dark as wash-day water, and the trees in the garden were bending double. Twice in the month it had rained while the sun was shining. And now, out of nowhere, this storm looming over us. Did it mean something? Was some marvel really on its way? One loses count of time with such thoughts on one's mind. But the breaking of the weather knocked them out of my head with a crash. The rain swept down, prancing and pounding across the roof. The lightning flared brighter than noontime, and with the second clap of thunder, the door opened and Rabbi Joshua stood on the threshold. Hands locked behind his back and beard streaming, he fixed me with a strange and solemn stare.
Woman?
Where have you been?
To the entrance of Simeon ben Yochai's cave, where I paused to pray.
Aye?
And when I looked up, there he stood before me.
Ooh.
Elijah. It is as I tell you. And I spoke with him as I speak to you, saying, when comes the Messiah?
He answered you?
As one answers a questioning child. Go and ask him yourself, he said.
Mercy of him.
When I could find my tongue, I sought to know where I might seek him, and he told me.
Aye?
He sits even now before the gates of the city, he told me.
Where are you going?
Where do you think I'm going? Could I rest by my fire on such a night?
I beg you, stay.
Beg the wind to stay. Be about your work, woman, and mind that no one hears of this until I return on the morrow.
Now, I was never a one to disobey, but I was never a one to keep a secret either. And when Shmuel the baker came by at 9 to have a talk with the rabbi, I'm afraid I told him every word before I was even aware that I'd done it. By midnight, there wasn't a soul in the village who didn't know. And there was an outburst of rejoicing, such as the little hills that ring our village round had never heard. Today! Today! The shout echoed across the valley, and the small October sun wasn't half so bright in the heavens as the happiness that shone from the faces of the congregation.
Go, my children. Prepare you for his coming.
And the preparations began. Like good and pious people, some went to bathe and deck themselves in their Shabbos finery. Some gathered together in the fields and sang. Some rattled about their kitchens, baking cakes and sweetmeats against the Messiah's coming. Never did our village seem to me to be a more perfect place. Though, of course, there was some who had, more serious preparations to make. The sun was not yet treetop high when Milcah, the widow, who was dressing her daughter's hair, looked up to see Ludum, her brother-in-law, on the doorstep. Blushing, he stood, twisting his cap in his hands and grinning as though there had never been a quarrel about her husband's castle and acres.
Well, Milcah, we are honored. My daughter, go fetch a stool for your uncle Lubin, the wealthy landowner.
Yes, Mama. Welcome, Uncle Ludium.
Oh,
Thank you, Hannah. My, how the child has grown.
She has survived, thank you.
Oh, yes, so she has, praise be. Well, we've all survived, haven't we? Survived to see a glorious day.
I thought you'd seen any number of glorious days, Ludum.
I?
Or has your conscience spoiled the pleasure of your ill-gotten gains?
Milka, please. I've come to make amends.
Amends?
Yes. Here are 2 bags of gold. Money enough to pay twice over for the cows in pasture. Please, I'd like you to take them.
Oh?
I beg you to take them, Milka.
Why, Ludum?
So that there may be peace between us.
What a nice way of putting it.
Mother.
Pardon me, Hannah, but your uncle has touched my funny bone. Do you know what he's doing? He's getting ready for the Messiah. Yes, he's trying to cleanse his miserable soul, trying to redeem himself at the price of 2 bags of gold.
More, Milka? More, if you want.
This is an easy day for a man to be generous.
I'll give you all I have, if you'll accept it.
I'll accept nothing until you go before the elders and confess that you robbed me.
Oh, but Milka, I didn't rob you.
Those are my terms.
It was business, a matter of business. Perhaps I did get the best of the bargain, but it was an honest bargain.
Then there's nothing to be discussed, Ludum. I bid you good day.
Milka!
I bid you good day, I said.
I tried. For what little it's worth, I tried.
Mother, why didn't you take something?
Quiet.
One piece of gold at least.
Are we to be bought so cheaply?
But I'm hungry. So hungry, and we've nothing at all in the house.
We have our pride, my dear. And remember, the Messiah is coming. It was shortly after that the snow fell. Yes, snow. Unexpected, it took us all by surprise. Suddenly clouds rolled in on an icy wind, and we watched the flakes fall with chattering teeth. I was well stocked with wood, as you know, but many of the villagers weren't. And as the day wore on, a crowd gathered outside the woodcutter's house, stamping and shouting for service.
Here's Ben Lama! Here's Ben Lama!
Where is that man?
Ben Lama, where are you? Peace be with you, my friend.
There he is.
What ails you here? I've been waiting an hour.
I have waited since noon.
For what, may I ask? What, he asked. To buy wood. What else? Wood, I'm afraid, is no longer for sale here.
What?
What's this?
What do you mean, here? You're the woodcutter?
Even so, why should I sell anything? Be reasonable, friends. Of what good is money with the Messiah on his way? I need not cut wood, for soon it'll be forever warm and sunny. The baker need not bake, for manna will descend shortly from the skies. The teacher need not teach, for shall the Messiah not answer all our questions?
But our toes are numb.
And the children are bawling.
What are we to do? Does it matter what you do, my friends, when paradise is so near?
The snow fell faster after that, and soon there was a great to-do of chopping in the woods, every man for himself. Toes were stubbed and fingers bruised, and it was a good 2 hours before smoke curled up from a chimney. The first chimney to show a cheery wreath was that of Nobby the tailor, and he and his wife sank down to catch their breath as the snowy logs began to snap and crackle.
Oh, my back. My back. I've not moved about so in 20 years.
What a thing. What a thing.
I ache all over like a bad tooth.
The worst of it was the noise that was made.
The noise?
Is this a day to be chopping and swearing?
I feared me the Messiah might come and hear it and turn and run away again.
Oh, no. Never you fear. The Messiah couldn't possibly be driven away by any noise.
Come to us,
Except that one.
Oh, Shmuel Ben Gul.
And his infernal drum.
Even today he can't restrain himself.
Summon the neighbors. Tell them to follow me.
Where are you going?
To make him restrain himself.
And if he won't?
I'll restrain him. By heaven, I will. We demand that you open this door. Do you hear me, Shmuel?
Please go away. Come back some other time. I'm practicing now. I swear that I will be honorable.
Very well. There's nothing else for it. Put your shoulders to the door, my friend. Do you think we should? The responsibility is mine. Come, for the Messiah. 1, 2.
What are you doing?
3.
Is it thus that you enter a man's house?
Quick, snatch the drum from
No,
him.
let go.
Give it to me.
No, stop.
You broke it. It's beyond mending. Why have you done this to him? Him? The Messiah. Didn't you hear me practicing?
Aye, we heard it right enough.
But what did it have to do with the Messiah, Shmuel? What did it have to do with him? What did it have to do with him? I was preparing to greet him with music. The rabbi shall hear of this. Oh, maybe we may...
No man save me will be blamed. It was done at my urging. If you would like to appeal to the rabbi, I am at your service, Shmuel Ben Gul.
And Rabbi Joshua sat in judgment, hearing Shmuel first, and then calling on Nabi to state his case.
I will not apologize nor repent for what has happened. I have long tolerated my neighbor's madness, but today is no day for such tolerance.
Why not?
Need I tell you that the light of this day is to fall on the coming of the Messiah?
The light of what day, Nabi Ben Yitzchak?
Rabbi.
The rabbi had risen and pointed to the window. Dusk had fallen, and the day was gone, and the villagers stood, looking from the darkness into each other's faces, and back to the darkness again.
It's over. He hasn't come. He isn't coming? No. Oh, no, he must come. He promised. Rabbi, go to Elijah. Question.
I have been to Elijah.
What did he say?
Yes, what?
What?
Assemble the congregation. I will tell you as one man.
And they assembled in the street before the house, male, female, young and old, and every face was strained with questioning as the rabbi spoke to them from the threshold, holding a candle aloft in the gathering night.
We have waited for the Messiah. We have waited with high expectancy, but with little thought. Did you not know that he shall not come so long as there is a single hungry mouth?
I have so heard tell.
Was there a hungry mouth amongst us?
There were two, the widow Milcah and her daughter.
They needn't have been hungry. I offered her gold and the full amount of her inheritance, and more.
Yes, Ludim Ben Haran, you, man of affairs, caught like a trout on the hook of your own interest. On the day of the Messiah's coming, you saw fit to think of her at last.
Just so. And out of pride, I refused him.
And you, Milcah, pride you not so deeply on your pride. Toss your head and vaunt it to the skies. It is nothing but the rank outgrowth of the lack of love.
Lack of love?
Aye. I say you had not enough love of us to trust us to help and still respect you. You aggressed on the congregation in the name of pride. But in whatever name you did it, it has cost us all a bitter price.
Then
It's my fault he didn't come.
No, I didn't say so. Milka, had you been perfect, still we would have not seen him.
Well, who else was at fault then? Name some names. Let us hear them.
Would you indeed have me name some names? Here's Ben Lama.
Aye.
Then I begin with here's Ben Lama.
Rabbi Joshua.
Man must have some understanding of the Messiah before he shall show himself. You refused to chop our wood. You bade the baker cease to bake and the teacher cease to teach. Alas, for us all, you were waiting for the end of the world, Ben Lamach. Whereas he shall be the beginning of it. Your dream was too small, Hish. He shall not herald some little change in the weather and the wind, but instead a change immeasurably in man himself, in his comprehension of himself and his tasks and his earth, so that he in peace shall love them all the better as they are.
You are laying this all to me, then?
I lay it to the want of love all around. Why, look you, upon this day of highest hope, a drum was smashed.
I intended only the best.
A neighbor was preparing to welcome the Messiah, and the very instrument of his jubilation was seized and smashed without remorse.
You didn't hear the sound he made.
And you, Nabi Ben Yitzchak, heard only with the ear of hatred. How shall a man without love find aught but aggravation in the very bird song of spring? How shall a man without love endure the wailing of the infant in its crib?
He'd have driven the Messiah from our gates, I tell you.
Who are you to say that the Messiah might not have heard the adoration above the uproar and been pleased to enter to a processional on the drum of Shmuel ben Gur?
Is this possible?
Shmuel's cry of anguish would more certainly have driven him hence than any song and drumbeat.
Then I'm lost. I'm lost.
We are all lost.
The light has failed, and the darkness shall be filled
Please,
with lamentation.
Please, no, I beg you, forsake all lamentation. Your day has ended, my children, but tomorrow the world begins all new again. And when you've learned the fullest meaning of our lives, you will know that every day is the day when the Messiah may come. You have but to search with all your hearts and with all your might after love and truth. And if you do, suddenly, in the midst of your urgent search, the day of days will dawn above you. I spoke with Elijah, as I told you, because I knew your disappointment would be great. I cried out that I had been deceived. The Messiah told me he would come today, I cried. Today, he told me. But Elijah smiled and shook his head. This, he said, is what he told you. Today, if ye would but hearken to his voice.
If you would like a copy of today's script, please send your name and address with 10 cents to cover the cost of postage to the Jewish Theological Seminary of America, 3080 Broadway, New York 27, New York. And now we take great pleasure in presenting Theodore Stribling, Vice Chairman of the Board of Overseers, University of Judaism. Mr. Stribling.
I call great pleasures. The world we just heard enacted so beautifully tells a simple story, but embodies a profound moral truth. All of us proclaim our desire for the coming of the Messiah, for the era of peace and plenty that is coming with usher in. But we hope that it may happen in some miraculous manner, totally unrelated to our own acts. We would like to go on living exactly as we do now, with all our loves, our petty prides and greeds. We would want to retire some night with our hearts as full of hates and jealousies as usual, and then rise in the morning to the sounds of the Messiah's trumpets and find this world transformed, while we ourselves remain unchanged. We cannot be reminded too often that it will not and cannot happen that way. The dawning of the day that will see a world of justice, brotherhood, and peace, a world of joy and of plenty, depends in very large measure upon each one of us. So many of us like to place the blame for mankind's present bad plight upon our leaders. But our leaders are only reflections of us. As long as each individual Milka, Hoyce, and Ludin, or Tom, Dick, and Harry holds fast to his own particular vice of pride or greed, be it small or great, day after day will rise and set, but the Messiah will not come. Jewish legend relates that the Messiah is bound in golden chains to the throne of the Almighty. He strains at the chains with all his might, hoping to break them and to descend to earth. But he cannot come until all of us are ready to receive him. Let us not be concerned with what others are doing to prepare themselves to receive him. You and I, are we ready to receive him?
Thank you, Mr. Strimling. Today's Eternal Light drama, The Day, was written by Peter Barry and comes to you transcribed from Hollywood. Cantor David Putterman sang the liturgical introduction. Featured in the cast were Noreen Gamil, Lou Merrill, Florence Ravenel, Byron Kane, Parley Bear, Jonathan Hole, Norma Nilsson, Lillian Bayeff, Jack Crucian, and Natalie Masters. I'm Ned Lefevre. This has been an NBC Radio Network production, directed by Andrew C. Love. This weekly program is presented under the auspices of the Jewish Theological Seminary of America. This is Monitor, the NBC Weekend Radio Service.